It is 7:03 p.m. Welcome to the William S. Hart Union High School District Governing Board meeting. Today is March 1st, 2023. My name is Bob Jensen. I'm the president of the board. We welcome everyone here. Great to see our cheer group from Saugus High School and everyone else who's here. I'm first going to report on our closed session action items. And I will note that we do have a board. Dr. Moore will be coming soon, and Mr. Webb is in Sacramento on State Department of Education business and is on the phone, so he is here with us right now. So in first closed session, the board took action to approve a reassignment of one assistant principal to a counseling position for the 2023-2024 school year at the request of the employee. The roll call vote was as follows, 4-0. The next item in closed session, the board took action to the non-re-election of 3 certificated employees for the 2023-24 school year. The roll call vote was as follows, 4-0. And the last item from closed session, the board took action to accept the resignation of 3 certificated employees effective June 30, 2023. That was also a roll call vote, and the vote was 4-0. So with that, we will reestablish the quorum. Debbie?
Mr. Messina?
Here.
Dr. Moore will join us shortly. Mrs. Storley? Here. Mr. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Jensen?
Present.
And student board member.
So we do have a quorum, and we'll next move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Sue Solomon, who is a longtime publicly elected board member of the Newhall School District, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd also like to note that Mrs. Solomon in 2019 was voted by AXA as the outstanding board member in the entire state of California in public education. So it's quite an honor for her to be here. Sue, if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Messina, second by Mrs. Storley to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Student board member? Aye. And the chair says aye. Next is the minutes from our February 1st, 2023 meeting for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Storley, second by Mr. Messina to approve the February 1, 2023 minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Student board member?
Aye.
And the chair says aye. Thank you. Well, we'll move on to our recognitions section of the board meeting. And we have a very successful group of students to recognize tonight. From Saugus High School, the cheer champions in the CIF section, Division 4A, and Mr. Crawford will make this presentation for us.
All right. Well, thank you, President Jensen and Governing Board, for this opportunity to recognize this time, and it seems like we were just here, because we just were last year, recognizing the Saugus varsity cheer team that just this past January earned the title of CIF Section Division 4 Co-ed Traditional Competitive Cheer Champions. Let's give them a hand. And I've always liked the saying, once is an accident, twice a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern. Well, the pattern for this Saugus group is champions because this marks their 3rd CIF championship in a row. So congratulations. And now this year, along with the team honor, head coach, who I'll bring up here in just a minute, head coach Candace Rogers, was selected as the CIF Southern Section Traditional Cheer Division 4 Coach of the Year. And the Saugus team didn't stop there. They went on nationals and finished third nationally in the National High School Cheerleading Championships. So this team has traveled a lot, won a lot of awards, and so it's so glad that we're able to honor them here tonight. So we want to congratulate the 22-23 Saugus High School cheer team. I'm going to bring up their head coach, Ms. Candace Rogers, along with assistant coach Glenna Panarisi and advisor Dalby Farrell. Here to talk about the team and introduce these talented students is Coach Rogers. And then do you want the cheer, all the team to stay up here one at a time?
All right. I just want to start off by thanking everybody for taking the time tonight to actually acknowledge these athletes. They work extremely hard, more than they get credit for. So it's just really a blessing, and we are super appreciative for the acknowledgement. So thank you. All right. So just random order, I'm going to call up our athletes, and congratulations. So first up is Grace Boone.
Would you like to greet them down there, Joe?
Stand up there and just.
All by yourself?
All right, next up is Caitlin Capoletti. Anna Cardoon. Lizzie Demersion. Maggie Homa. Hanley Hughes. Camila Carota. Maddie Oram. Ava Mark. Kaylee McCall. Megan Parker. Emily Phillips. Michaela Piantanita. Gabby Salazar. Jordan Wirtz. And Landon Whitecroft.
Oh, the garlic buns are still on fire. Sure.
Well, congratulations again to the Saugus cheer team. We have such terrific participation in our athletics and extracurricular activities, and it's great to see our students excel and achieve and accomplish all that they do. Before we move on to the next item, which is our One Heart Award, I feel remiss in not introducing another distinguished visitor. I introduced Mrs. Solomon, Sue Solomon, but we have another board member from the Newhall School District, Rochelle Haddock, who's here with us, and she actually teaches in the Hart School District, and she was just elected for the first time in November, so congratulations to you, Rochelle, and thank you for coming tonight. And we also have some administrators from the Newhall School District who are here tonight, so we welcome them. We're glad you're here, and they're folks who have been teachers and served in the Newhall School District for many years, and a great district, one that I had the opportunity to serve on the board of several years ago. So thank you for coming. We appreciate you being here. All right, our next recognition is One Heart Award, and I'll have Mr. Kuhlman give the introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. And that's a nice transition because our One Heart Award winner comes to us from Newhall School District. And I'm really excited about this one tonight because this is a colleague and a friend. To set this up, I wanted to remind everybody that this past year, the governing board adopted 4 new core values. Those are courage, creativity, caring, and community. And we like to think of those 4 descriptors as what we call aspirational values, which means our governing board wants to set these aside to say to our students, these are character traits that we hope that you aspire to. And one way we've chosen to highlight these values is through the presentation of a One Heart Award. The award is a medallion that looks like this, that is presented to a student, staff member, or a member of our community who we believe exemplifies one or more of the core values. And by honoring someone with this award, we are in effect saying to our students and our community, be like this person. And tonight, I'm honored to share a One Heart Award to one of my colleagues in the superintendent ranks. Dr. Leticia Hernandez is here, the superintendent of the Newhall School District. And Dr. Hernandez, may I ask for you to come up to the podium, and I'm just going to say a few words, and I'm going to ask for you to share something, if you don't mind. So, Dr. Leticia Hernandez is the superintendent of the Newhall School District. Recently selected, I believe that you have been here for about a year now, is that right? A little over a year? 8 months, okay. Which is one of our partner school districts. And I've chosen to honor Dr. Hernandez because I believe her life and her professional story exemplifies the power of the word community. In a moment, I will meet Dr. Hernandez in the front, where I will be able to present to her this medallion, our One Heart Award. But before that happens, I have asked her to share with us a little of her inspiring story. In a nutshell, as a child of immigrant parents, she was supported and encouraged by members of this community to dream big. And through hard work and an exceptional professional resume and the support of a host of amazing people in our community and others, She has now returned to our valley as superintendent to help open the doors of opportunities to a new generation of students. And for those of you listening, those who are here and those who may be listening online, I will say again, after you hear this story, be thinking, be like Dr. Hernandez. So Dr. Hernandez, would you share a little bit about your story? Thank you.
Good evening, Governing Board President Jensen, Governing Board members, Superintendent Coleman, staff, and community members. It is really an extreme honor for me to receive the One Heart recognition. I grew up in the Santa Clarita Valley attending Newhall School, Plaza Rita, Seco, and Saugus High School. My parents brought our family of 7 children from Mexico when I was 3 years old. We grew up with very low socioeconomic means, my father following the crops here, and we lived across the train tracks in Newhall. Coming to the United States with no English and no means was definitely a challenge for my family. But what made the difference for us was the education that we received. From the beginning, Newhall Elementary gave me every opportunity possible to succeed, teaching me the love of learning. My parents strongly believed in the educators and would always allow us to participate in any school event that we wanted to, as long as it was school related. So of course, for me, school opened up a different world. So you can imagine, I was a Saugus cheerleader, I was in dance, ASB, and all kinds of clubs. I was so fortunate to go to Saugus High School as well because it was there that really my trajectory changed. I was always a dedicated student, but college was something that was not discussed in my household. And not because my parents didn't want me to go to college, but because they didn't know how the educational system worked in the United States. My parents had 3rd grade education and were happy that I was graduating from high school. But during my senior year, something did happen. My Spanish teacher, Mr. Orlando Madrid, asked me during one of my classes what college I was planning on attending. I remember feeling embarrassed because I didn't think I was going to go to college. And it was because I knew all my friends were going to college and their parents were helping them with the application, and they didn't seem to be worried about the cost. But I didn't truly think that I could afford going to college. My parents couldn't pay for me. My dad had a landscaping business during the day, and he was actually a sub at the Hart High School District custodian at night. I couldn't ask them to pay for my college. But Mr. Madrid, he looked at me and he said to me, "You can go to college, Leticia, and I will help you fill out the application, and if you can work, then you can go to college." So of course, I brought in the application, and he said to me, "There's absolutely no reason that you can't do this." And that gave me all the confidence in the world to come back to him. We filled it out, we mailed it in. He changed my life forever. And that's what Saugus High School did for me, was change my life forever. If he had not taken the time to support me, then I may not be here in front of you today. Saugus High School gave me access to a world of possibilities. That is what a teacher can do for a student. And I am a firm believer that a teacher can change the world for a child at any age. It was my dream to come back to the community that gave me so much. I'm really grateful to the William S. Hart District for giving me access to accomplish my dream. My 5-year-old self would have never imagined that I would have my doctorate and be the superintendent of Newhall School District. I am the students that come through our districts, through Newhall and William S. Hart districts. So I would like to say thank you to all the educators and to our governing board members, because you're able to transform dreams, and I embody that. And I thank you so much. My mom would have loved to have been here, but the weather wouldn't allow it. And my father, who's no longer with us, would have just been so proud of me here. So thank you so much. And I also just want to thank my governing board members who are here to support me, Sue Solomon and Rochelle Haddock, and of course, my colleagues as well. So thank you so much for this honor. It is a true pleasure. Like I said, I was just in awe, and I appreciate it so much.
Congratulations again, and again, thank you all for attending from the Newhall School District tonight. Next on our agenda is communications, and we'll start out with our board member reports. Mrs. Torley, would you like to go first?
Okay, did our Valencia people leave? I think we had one or two Valencia people here tonight. I'd like to shout out to Valencia High School, was selected as the showcase choir, the single vocal jazz ensemble from high school to be featured at the American Choral Directors National Convention. 28 professional groups, universities, and colleges were picked internationally, and Valencia's I Know Not What I Speak Here, HS2N4 Vocal Jazz Ensemble, I know what a jazz ensemble is, was selected to represent high school vocal jazz after a rigorous selection process by a panel of 5 judges. Students received the opportunity to see the greatest directors in the world. This was a first-time Valencia High School, and William S. Hart District was represented at ACDA alongside with their principal, Dr. Pete Getz. That's.
Thank you, Linda. Dr. Moore, would you like to go next?
Thank you, Mr. Jensen, and congratulations to our cheerleaders. They're already out there in the hall. All right, so I have a couple things. Congratulations, Dr. Hernandez. We are so proud of you. You really do represent what anyone can dream of and become, and thank you for showing and paving the way and making sure that others know that there's no barriers that should ever stand in your way of success. So thank you for that. I really am so delighted that we were able to do that. Last night in this very room, it looks so transformed, we had an amazing Black History Month art show. I brought my son and he referred to it as a museum. The art was amazing. We had 19 pieces of wonderful art that our students from across the district did to really embody our core values as well through community, caring, courage, and creativity. And it was so much fun. And I was able to present a One Heart Award last night to Miss Valerie Bradford. She was at our event and had no idea that this was going to happen. And she's helped us with scholarships. She's served on some advising committees that we've had. And she's just a true person who really believes in our community. And I was honored to be able to give that to her for all the work that she's doing in the community. I want to also make sure that you are aware that on March the 18th, this is for all of our students. So for Danny, if you can take this bag, I'm going to give you this, but for all of our students, and it's really for the parents who are watching too and who are here. On March the 18th, we will be partnering with JCI of Santa Clarita. They are doing an event called Adulting 101, Get Real Adulting 101, and it's a teen financial workshop. One of the pieces that I continue to hear is how important it is for our students as they graduate to know how to balance a checkbook, to know the bills that we pay as parents, to know that, you know, money doesn't grow on trees. And this opportunity, this workshop, we did it in the fall and we had a good turnout, but I'm hoping that doing it this spring will have an amazing turnout. It's real life, and they're assigned jobs as they go in, a living situation. It's really amazing. So please go, it's free, and they are doing this for our kids. Again, March the 18th, and you can register online. Get Real Adulting 101, getrealscv.com is where you'll find the opportunity to register. And of course, again, I'm really excited that we were able to do the One Heart Award for Dr. Hernandez, for Ms. Bradford. It is Women's History Month, and this month I'm hoping that we recognize the power and strength that women bring to this community. I wanted to highlight just a few women in history who I'm learning about all the time, the continued history that I look around this room and I see amazing women leaders that we're able to contribute to our country. How many of you have ever heard of Patsy Matsu Mink? Patsy Mink. Okay, we have one person here. I think she is quite amazing. Patsy Mink was the first woman of color in Congress. She's from Hawaii. She was one of the first members in the House of Representatives who was of Japanese descent. She advocated for Title IX, which is what allows us today to make sure that in our schools, our high schools, and in our colleges, and every place where you can have women's sports and women's opportunities, that they're provided an equal opportunities for them. And I'd never heard of Patsy Matsu Mink, and I am delighted that I get to share a little bit about her with you. So happy Women's History Month. Let's enjoy and celebrate all month long. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Messina.
I'll pass.
Mr. Webb, did you have a report you'd like to make?
Yes, Mr. Jensen, thank you. Sorry I cannot be there in person. Glad that I'm able to be with you. I am in Sacramento working with the exciting literacy developments and initiatives that are going to be making their way into our schools. My only board report that I have is I just want to let everyone know that this week is Read Across America. So I think it's fitting that I'm up here working with literacy, and tomorrow is Read Across America Day. So I encourage all of our folks in attendance, families, staff, to take time and read something to someone special. That could be your children, grandchildren, other family members, but just remember the importance of reading and everything that it opens up for our students. So, Mr. Jensen, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Well, I have a short report myself. I'd like to, again, thank Dr. Hernandez for coming tonight. It's really a pleasure to have you here, and grateful that you can receive that award, because I've heard wonderful things about you, and I'm grateful for all you do for the Newhall School District. So keep up the good work. I did have the opportunity to attend the art show last night for Black History Month. However, I was here at 5:30. I had a 6 o'clock appointment, so I came at 5:30. No one was here but myself, which gave me time to view all the pieces of art and to read what was written about each of them underneath the art piece. And I took pictures, photos of actually every single art piece, so I really enjoyed that. And it was wonderful artwork and wonderful dialogue that was written underneath each piece. So thank you for that. Our school district has had some outstanding success athletically as of recent. On Friday night of last week in the pouring rain, the Hart High girls soccer team won the CIF championship 1-0. I was able to attend the game and get as wet as any other spectator there, and exciting for them. And then on Saturday, I had the opportunity to go to Miracosta High School in Manhattan Beach and watch Valencia High School win the CIF championship in boys basketball. And Hart High School, I was able to watch that game. The girls team took second place. It was a close game, and they did win their state playoff game last night, though, and Valencia High also won their state playoff game last night. So they both advanced to the second round, which is probably tomorrow or Friday. So that is my report, and we'll ask the student board member to make a report.
Thank you so much. So first and foremost, I wanted to add on to what Mr. Jensen and Dr. Moore said. I was also able to attend the Black History Art Museum yesterday, and looking at it from a student perspective, it was amazing to see the variety of Hart District students all in one room together. And furthermore, I wanted to highlight the amount of student organizations that were there to report and share about it for those that were unable to do it. I know, for example, the Grizzly Gazette is doing an article on it, and it's just amazing to see a Hart District event, student-led and student helped out, have a legacy and move in and even help share further information, even though Black History Month is over. It was really amazing, and it was a really beautiful thing to see. and I hope to see it next year as well. And then another thing, this past week, 3 of our Hart District high schools, Golden Valley, West Ranch, and Saugus, participated in the academic decathlon. West Ranch and Saugus were able to place 11th and 14th place in Division 1, while Golden Valley was able to place 11th place in Division 2. So our organizations are doing amazing, and they had a lot of fun from what I heard. And lastly, I did want to talk about Valencia High School as well, as they were able to host a rock concert connected to their choir and band program. It is something a bit different than other ASB or school events, but the variety is what helps open up so many opportunities and so many ways to connect with a different type of student or connect in a different way with a larger variety of students. So it was amazing to see. And lastly, AOC is currently holding an art contest, which they are hoping to share a bit more on 2 weeks from now, the SCC meeting. That is all the information I have.
Thank you, Danny. Mr. Kuhlman, do you have a report?
Just a brief one. We continue to want to keep the issue of fentanyl and the need for parents and students to take this issue seriously at the forefront of what we're talking about here in the Hart District. And one of the ways that we're doing that is we're featuring at each of our board meetings one of the videos that was put together by students to raise awareness about this so that students can be safe. This particular one is called How to Use Narcan, and it's a reminder that we can let the community know that we have Narcan deployed at all of our school sites, and I believe families can choose to obtain that by going to your local pharmacy without too much difficulty as well. And so we're going to play this video for folks to see.
Got it. John, I got it.
Don't know is how we can help in the matter. It's common knowledge by now that fentanyl is a dangerous and deadly drug. What many of us don't know is how we can help in the matter. After all, the drug is obviously dangerous, and yet after all the PSAs and drug safety videos, the issue still persists. I am to tell you that anyone can help, no matter who you are. There are resources and precautions that you can take that might just save someone's life. Narcan, or naloxone, is one such precaution. Opioids like fentanyl bond with receptors in the brain that revolve around emotions and pain. The nasal spray Narcan is designed to counteract these effects and is supposed to help with these opioid overdoses. Anyone who wishes can purchase this medication from their local pharmacy without needing a prescription. The nasal spray is easy to use and can be administered in emergency situations by simply placing the nozzle in the patient's nose and pressing the plunger down completely so as to enact the spray. If you're worried about a sibling, a cousin, a friend, or even just want to do your part in helping fight off this drug, having Narcan at the ready is one of the best ways to help.
Thank you, Mr. Kuhlman, for sharing that.
Mr. President, may I say something about the Narcan?
Yes.
I was at the pharmacy yesterday, and they just put it in my bag along with the prescription I was picking up. And I said, that's fine, thank you, because I keep one in my car, which I got at the presentation that we had over in Canyon Country. But it was $42, and I said, thank you, but I don't need an extra one right now. I think one of the things we need to look into is how we can get them free to people that need them that might not have $42 to pay for it. So I guess we need to look into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Okay, next on the agenda is Employee Association Leadership. We'll start with John Minkus, President of Hart District Teachers Association. John, glad you're here tonight.
Good evening, school board, student board member, President Mr. Jensen, Superintendent Kuhlman, and staff. Thank you as usual for permitting me to speak tonight. Tonight I also would like to reaffirm our focus on continued efforts to improve the relationship of HDTA and the Hart District management team and to highlight the positives in our district. I would like to recognize and thank Mr. Nielsen and Mr. Kuhlman for supporting those efforts recently by responding to our request to review in greater detail an action taken regarding the employment of one of our HDTA members and finding a resolution that served the best interests of all parties involved. Thank you very much. In addition to this goal, I'm motivated by my closest friend in the Hart District, who reminds me weekly to read the article written by Pastor David Haig, a well-respected member of our community. He often writes his opinions regarding human issues and elements of our current society that are missing or misguided. I know as we teach our students that I must read it irrespective of political and religious leanings and look at it for its sociological commentary. Often what he writes promotes a combination of logic and empathy, two characteristics that are inherent and necessary in our profession. I will address these positive behavioral characteristics as they relate to the Hart District, especially relevant as we face mandated deadlines for the release of certificated staff and other employment issues. The employees of the Hart District, and more specifically the members of HDTA, are here by choice. That choice is made in part because this is a great community to live and work in. The Hart District is known for its quality schools, which adds to the allure. The two have a symbiotic relationship that is created with that logic and empathy that I spoke of. Our district is made up of a large percentage of Santa Clarita residents and Hart District graduates. This is what makes our district different from others. The empathy that is derived from the family-like atmosphere that we strive to hold on to in this ever-burgeoning Santa Clarita Valley. With a commitment to the community and to each individual member of the Hart District needed to facilitate and foster this family, there comes a great responsibility. A major part of this great responsibility is to maintain the quality of teaching from within. To do so, we constantly engage in the cycle of assessment for all involved. The evaluative and training process for our certificated staff is of the utmost importance in the maintenance and growth of our educational program. Our own PAR induction program of assessment and support is provided by and for our own teachers outside of the evaluation article mandates. These programs include extensive multi-day training and assessment, support, and our evaluation process for our teacher support providers. They also deliver a myriad of professional development opportunities supporting the teaching standards for our teachers. And I will say I want to thank Ms. Daisher, who's not here tonight, for the discussions regarding extensions of PD opportunities to all staff, which I don't know if, I know there have been those discussions. I don't know if they have been finalized. Within the contractual evaluation process, we have minimal requisite observations in an effort to document and objectify the very subjective art of teaching. Within the current contract, we can only assess what we see in a very limited observation. So, with limited time and resources, administration can't really offer our staff the assessment and support that is desired, needed, and necessary. In passing judgment on our people with less than sufficient data, it is important to remember that absence of proof is not proof of absence. HDTA seeks to promote and support pedagogical growth of our membership through the appropriate channel of negotiations and improvements to the contractual evaluation process and its requisite training and support. We know your job as school board members cannot and should not be that of micromanagement. Although you are not directly involved in staff evaluation, at each board meeting you review employment issues inextricably connected to the process, specifically personnel issues that will affect not only our district, but the careers and livelihood of our people. It is imperative to maintain your role as the outside overseer, but with the parental-like rational approach of one who has a personal stake in the issue. In doing so, we urge the board to make decisions based on fact and logic, yet impassioned with empathy. If we are to continue as a quality school district, attracting and retaining the highest quality people, we must have the best support for that most important resource, your teachers. HDTA will continue our collaborative support of excellence in teaching and learning. Together, we are one heart. Thank you.
Thank you, President Minkus. Next is President Janice Darrington, CSEA, Chapter 349. Welcome, Janice.
Good evening, President Jensen, board members, Superintendent Kuhlman, Cabinet, and guests. Tonight I'd like to open by thanking the district and the board members for approval of our TA 2223. As we're all aware, the classified members are hardworking and deserving of the salary increase, but we're also grateful, appreciative, and proud to work for William S. Hart District. So again, I'd like to extend our gratitude to all those who helped make this negotiation possible. As we look ahead, I'd like to share with you some upcoming events that pertain to CSEA. CSEA and HDTA leaders will meet for an informal dinner discussing a day where CSEA and HDTA teams will have an eat and greet, opening lines of communication and building unity. Additionally, on March 21st, the CSEA will have a barbecue before our chapter meeting, distributing new t-shirts to members and inviting them to join CSEA's chapter meeting in person. Thank you, Superintendent Kuhlman, for giving CSEA permission to hold this barbecue. We appreciate you and your support. Lastly, on April 18th, CSEA will be holding our classified recognition banquet at La Mesa Junior High. So please mark the date on your calendar because I'll be sending all of you an invitation. Thank you.
Thank you, President Darrington.
And thank you for your amazing Christmas gift that I shouldn't have opened because...
All right, our next item is our school site report, which is Castaic High School. Before we have our outstanding principal, Vince Ferry, come to the podium to give the presentation, we do have two speaker cards. So we'll have the two speakers come forward. The first is Lori Hermelin. And the second is Betsy Schubert. So Betsy, if you'd like to come up and you'll go after Lori.
Good evening. When I became the teacher librarian at our brand new school, I was excited by the prospect of building a library and information literacy program from the ground up. We were making some progressive decisions, offering students concurrent enrollment courses within their school day and focusing on an equitable, standards-based approach to teaching, learning, and assessing. Our Carpe Librum program assured me that our library would be a learning and exploration hub. I envisioned all types of readers and reading tastes, including those who identified as non-readers, and prepared to welcome the class of 2023. Today, our comprehensive campus has grown to include all 4 classes, our PAC, and we've bonded deeply with our Castaic Coyotes. We've encountered some unprecedented challenges, but our campus is resilient and thriving. Our faculty and staff have built strong relationships with the students, and these are at the heart of our school. The class of 2023 is sharing with us their good news about college acceptances, exciting certificate programs they'll continue after high school, and plans to attend the community college under Canyon's Promise program. Our staff feels the infectious energy that this first graduating class brings when discussing their future plans. Our SBIA continues to focus our staff's energy into providing support for each student. Pathways allow students to explore careers that interest them. And ICANN continues to attract students. But the most important characteristic of Castaic High School is the relationships between students and staff. We are a safe space where kids can fail and try again. First, find willing staff to sponsor all sorts of amazing clubs where coaches are developing talented student athletes, and our ASB is defining what it means to be a Castaic cowboy. A Castaic coyote. Oh dear.
Lori, your 2 minutes is actually up, so if you can wrap it up, that'd be great.
I will, sir. Creating a student-centered environment in these relationships isn't easy. Each staff member collaborates, working well beyond the day to make it happen. We've seen significant changes to our staff since our opening day. Many colleagues have left the profession entirely, and some have moved to districts that provide better financial incentives. I hope that this board will always focus its energy in retaining the most valuable asset that Castaic High School has to offer our community: qualified, talented, and motivated teachers and staff. I'm proud to be a coyote. A coyote.
Thank you.
A coyote.
All right, our next speaker is Betsy Schubert. 2 minutes, Betsy.
I hope I won't need the whole 2 minutes, but hello, everybody. I know I don't always make your life easy, so I just came tonight to say thank you very much for bringing this man to Castaic High School. Castaic High School last year was a challenge. Mr. Coleman and Dr. Vieira and I had a long conversation about the challenges at Castaic High School. This semester, or last semester into this semester, has been a dream. The energy on campus is positive. The vibe is spectacular. The kids are respectful. I actually picked up my son, and the resource officer was at the gate. As the kids were exiting, they said, "Hello, officer. How are you, officer? Shake your hand, officer." They were magnificent. They appreciated him, and they were just wonderfully well-mannered kids. And you can feel it in the energy on the campus. And I have to be honest, I came from 4 years of Mark Crawford at West Ranch, which was unbelievable. I didn't think that there could be someone who could be as good a principal. Mr. Ferry's in the running here, you too. So, sorry, I know I'm supposed to be addressing you. I just wanted to say thank you. You did very well in bringing him to Castaic. Castaic is a small town, a very tight community, and he is an excellent fit for us, for our families. When he calls us in the morning and says, "Traffic's really backed up, the freeway's closed, and you know, if you can't get here, it's okay, but do your best," we actually enjoy hearing from him. That's actually what it sounds like.
Mark, you're still at the top. Just want to let you know.
But the kids absolutely adore him. The parents, we love him. He's been terrific. He's been just a wonderful breath of fresh air. So thank you very much for bringing him to us. Please keep him there for at least 3 more years. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Betsy.
Longer.
All right, we're going to have the report now from Castaic High School. Mr. Ferry?
Mr. Jensen, before we get started, can I share a video on Castaic Pathways that they recently put out? It's a 20-second video.
Great.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Let's go.
Thank you, Debbie.
Mrs. Schubert come up here and say, "I give the presentation." That was, I think you should continue. I liked it. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Honestly, working at Castaic has been just an absolute blessing. And I appreciate the opportunity, Board President Jensen, our governing board, Superintendent Coleman, for this opportunity to speak tonight, specifically on the topic of access and equity. With me tonight, I have the super talented, she's way brighter than I am, Asiwa Imulu, and she is our ASB president and part of our first graduating class, and she will be speaking tonight from a student's perspective on Castaic High School. You know, I truly believe at Castaic High School, we're providing opportunities and access to students and to their families that are life-changing. Our programs, our courses, and the supports we have in place to support our kiddos is just, like I said, can be life-changing for our students. Before I get in the presentation, I just want to give you a quick overview of our campus population. We're just over 1,200 students. Our two largest subgroups are Hispanic, Latino, and our white Caucasian subgroups. If I had to describe our student body, spirited, engaged, caring. I think Lori said it best. Our staff is just, they show up every day, they give a great effort, and doors always open. They just love the children so much. So again, it is a very, very special community at Castaic High School. When you look at access to programs, I know we're a smaller school, but we have all the programs that you're going to find on any comprehensive campus, high school campus. And it's amazing in a short period of time how successful these programs have been. When you look at GMC, our film and video, they're being recognized at the national level. We have students in journalism that are publishing in national publications and winning awards. Our band just won first place in Southern Section this year in Division I. Our athletics are quickly becoming competitive in a short amount of time. We have an outstanding ASB who just put on a great winter formal this past week. And we have a CTE program that probably could be the model for the state of California. With these programs, we also have a rigorous course of study. As you are aware, we have our ICANN Academy, really under the efforts of our head counselor, CC Kazan, and Director Hoffman have done a great job of creating programs for students at Castaic High School starting their freshman year where they can start earning college credits. These college credits are UC and Cal State transferable. They meet IGETSU requirements. We also have some incredible pathways in there. Right now, our welding and manufacturing program is absolutely thriving. I'm real excited about next year. We are starting our fire science pathway that will couple with our fire science academy after school. And we have a bunch of great extended day programs after school as well that we're providing access to students. Our medical assistant, dental assistant, our fire science, our emergency medical response, which will be in place next year, and our forensics and criminology. So as you can see, we have a robust, rigorous course offerings for our students just through the ICANN Academy. On top of that, like any other comprehensive high school, we have a plethora of AP courses, our honors level courses, and obviously some co-taught courses, which is providing great access for our special education students in the general ed curriculum. And we have our own pathways, our school pathways in digital media arts and our film and video. When you're going to have a rigorous curriculum like this, you better have supports in place, and I'm very proud of our staff. Monday through Thursday, we have what we call win time, what I need time, from 7:55 to 8:25 a.m. It's a chance for students to come in and get extra help. It's a chance for students to retake assessments. We have that philosophy at Castaic that we want you to demonstrate learning. So if you're doing that, we want to honor that and reward you for that. So we have a lot of students doing retake assessments during that time. We have after-school targeted math and English intervention based on common assessments we've created. And a big thank you to Mr. Peshik's office for adding an early and late bus to our campus. That's been game-changing for a lot of our students. In terms of equity, this fall we underwent a huge equity audit at our school. We've looked at every program from ICANN to our AP courses, to athletics, extracurricular activities. We're just looking at what does our enrollment look like. We've asked parents, students, and staff to fill out surveys. We've reviewed the data with staff, and we started doing some blitz campaigns just for our AP program and the ICANN Academy, try to get more students involved. Currently, we have about 30% of our population involved in the ICANN program. Our goal is to have over half our students in that in the next 4 years. Our next steps is to create measurable goals from this audit to make sure that we don't only want to know what the numbers are, what are we going to do with these numbers? So we're creating measurable goals right now and looking forward to what our talented staff and students at Castaic High School are going to do for years to come. With that said, I hope you guys can follow us on our social media. We have a pretty good social media campaign out there. I love all props to Mrs. Iacenda and Mrs. Gambaro, but it's really a fun way for parents to see what their children are doing during the school day. And I think it kind of shows how alive our community is at Castaic High School. Now that I've bored you to death, I'm going to bring up the real talent right now, Siwa, and give you her perspective as the ASB president and first graduating class from Castaic High School.
I want to start off by thanking you all for inviting us to speak about our amazing school. I've been in Coyote for all 4 years. I actually moved to Castaic specifically to attend the school. My parents heard about the programs that Castaic was opening up with and wanted myself and my twin brother to have access to all the school had to offer. For the past 4 years, I have seen our school blossom into a community that truly reflects our mission statement. We really are an inclusive and welcoming school. My favorite thing about Castaic is the sense of being able to be myself and grow in a supportive environment. Mr. Ferry already touched on win time, and I'm happy to agree that our teachers and administrators are caring and accessible, which is key to student success. Win time is definitely a tool that I make use of as I moved into more advanced classes, so I thank my teachers for making it an option. Regarding student activities, I've been an ASB officer for 4 years, and I can honestly say that our ASB teams go above and beyond to plan activities that are interactive and appealing to students with varying interests. As a part of the first graduating class, we've had the opportunity to set traditions that create a positive culture for future Coyotes. I believe that as a senior class, we have built a foundation that future classes can enjoy and benefit from while also feeling empowered to create their own. We just had our winter formal last week, and as you all know, we went all out bringing real snow just to be on theme. And today as well. Circling back to academics, Castaic offers many opportunities for us to be successful in the academic field. As Mr. Ferry discussed, the thing that sets us apart from other schools is the I-CAN program, which provides students with the opportunity to take college-level courses during the school day and starting in their freshman year. Throughout my time at Castaic, I've taken a total of 8 classes, 2 per year, through this program. Examples of some of these classes I have taken are Intro to Business, Psychology, and Medical Terminology. This program not only helps prepare me for faster-paced college-level courses, but also potentially saves us time and money by earning actual college credits along the way. I am a twin, so anything that helps my family to cut back on college costs is a program that we were going to be taking advantage of. And while I have not participated in the Career Pathway program, I have several friends who are close to earning their certifications in the chosen fields, and others who have figured out that that certain field was not the best fit for them, which is just as important when it comes to planning for the future. So yeah, these are great programs to get into, whether you're thinking about college or trade school or anything in between. In our 4th year, Castaic students have the opportunity to join any number of student-led clubs based on their interests or cultural backgrounds, from gaming to foodies and many more. We are not only exceeding expectations academically. Our band is phenomenal. Dance, debate, film, theater are all bringing in top prizes. Our sports teams are growing and seeing more success. I don't want to overlook anyone, so suffice it to say, us Coyotes are definitely leaving a mark on our Hart District. I can go on, but I'll stop here and just say thank you for allowing me to come and share about my wonderful school. Thank you very much.
Thank you both for wonderful presentations. And board, what comments or questions do you have? Linda?
I just think that Mr. Ferry, I have to be very careful here. I know a couple of other principals, but surpasses everything that we could ask for from a principal. So I'm glad that you're there and we found a nice place for you to be. And I'm very glad that people are appreciative of how special you are.
Dr. Moore?
Thank you for the wonderful report, Mr. Ferry and Isiua. It was wonderful, and my question that I have, when you talked about access to supports and interventions, you mentioned adding an early and a late bus. And I have parents ask me all the time, and I can probably get this from Mr. Peshek, but where are the bus pickup spots on the east side?
Currently, the east side is at La Mesa Junior High School.
La Mesa, all right. And Isua, thank you for the comments. I had the opportunity to hear you share a speech on Black History Month just a few weeks ago, and it was amazing. You are amazing. So proud of you and so excited. And again, I can't agree more than with Betsy and Ms. Storley and Mr. Coleman. We are so delighted, Mr. Ferry, to have you at Castaic. Thank you for all the light that you bring to that campus.
Mr. Messina?
I feel like a repeat here. I'd say the same thing. I mean, every place you go, Mr. Ferry, everything you touch, every student you touch flourishes, and that's a special talent, and that comes from within, deep within. I was there with you back in November and saw the passion you had, the pain you had, and the work you did to turn that campus around, and you're doing the same thing there at Castaic. How come you haven't requisitioned a snowplow yet? I figured you'd have that, would have had that invite tonight, right?
Jeremy said there's going to be a ski team next
It's you got the hills for it. You also had a recent, I believe, the video center there is finished, and man, what a pristine setup at the school. Recently, you and I got together, and we brought the members from the EDC in there and they were quite impressed with you, your staff, and the organization. So just keep up the good work. The other question I just got was, for those who aren't in this every day, what is ICANN?
ICANN is our partnership with COC. It's their College of the Canyons North Academy, and it's the same kind of similar philosophy as AOC has with them. They can take the college classes on our campus during the school day, starting the 9th grade year, which is a perk for a lot of students. We currently have a student who's going to Belmont University, and they took every single unit from the ICANN Academy, and mom says saved them about $50,000 a year. So that's a pretty cool thing to celebrate and to recognize what ICANN can do for families.
Very good. Like I said, they're blessed to have you there. Thank you.
I appreciate it. We got great student body and just a phenomenal staff, and Mrs. Hermlin, it's just, you guys done a great job with the vision of the school, how you started it, and it's a lot of fun being there. So thank you.
Mr. Webb, did you have a comment you'd like to make?
I just wanted to thank Mr. Ferry for a very good presentation. It's exciting to see Castaic with its seniors about to graduate and all the programs that are offered at the school. So thank you very much for your amazing leadership and everything that you're doing with your staff and families and the students to make Castaic such a wonderful place to be.
Student board member.
Thank you. I first want to commend you both on the growth that the campus and the campus culture has had over the past few years. I know COVID, I do remember last year a lot of schools during SCC were talking about the struggle of coming back and reestablishing it. And I have a lot of friends at Castaic, and I only ever hear good things. And I've been to the campus a couple of times. It's a beautiful place. It has this energy, this brightness, and maybe because it's up on a hill, but like this just light that comes down on it. And it's a really beautiful campus. I did have, and culture, sorry. I did have one question specifically about the assessment retake philosophy. I was wondering if I could get a bit more explanation from the student perspective on how this may inspire or motivate some students.
So I'll give you an example. Later on, probably on Monday, I'll go into my math class to retake an assessment, a test that we just recently had. We do standards-based grading, so we get 4, 3, 2, 1, and on this one I have a 3, but just in case, I'm always about keeping up with my grades, and just in case one grade isn't the best, I want to have an extra cushion so I'm able to keep my A. So yeah, that's a big motivation for me. I don't feel discouraged when I do bad on a test because I know I'll have a chance to retake it, to learn more, and then we all know that tests are like building like steps to the next course. So it's just really beneficial for all the students, and I know we can all agree that that's probably the best part about Castaic because we're able to keep up with our grades easily. There's really no room to fail, and Our teachers are a big part of helping us succeed, and also our administrators. You too, Mr. Ferry. So, yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much.
Well, Ishua, thank you for your presentation. Looks like you've been a great ASB president, and you still have some more time to go, right, before the end of the year. And you've been involved for 4 years in ASB? Were you the vice president last year, or?
I ran 3 times for president. I lost the first 2 times, and then for my senior year, I won. So
Well, congratulations.
perseverance. Yeah.
Where do you think you'll go to college next year? Have you
I'm
decided?
hoping to hear back from UCLA and UC Berkeley soon,
Okay.
but right now I've already been accepted to LMU, so that's my choice as of right now. But I'll wait back for the UCs. and then the rest.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for coming tonight and wonderful presentation. Mr. Ferry, I've known you for a long time, and you've always made a great contribution to the Hart District. And like my fellow board members, I'm very happy and excited to have you at Castaic High School, and you've done a wonderful job. And I just have to throw something out athletic-wise. This coming year, that'll be the 3rd year of varsity competition, correct?
Second year for most sports.
Second year in most sports, okay. Including football.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're getting competitive. So, I mean, we had a close one in volleyball last night against Golden Valley, so it's about to happen. So I'm excited about what's
Okay.
happening at Castaic High School.
Sounds good.
Cross go today? See, we're there.
So I'm hoping for a football game in the snow,
Okay.
somewhere down the road,
All I want to see is championship.
where I can come and watch. Thank you both for a great presentation. Keep up the wonderful work, and all the best to you. Thanks again.
Appreciate it.
Next on our agenda is the public comments section. If you wish to address the board, the governing board, on a topic within the subject matter of its jurisdiction, please complete the request to address the board form and return it to the secretary to the board prior to the beginning of the item. Comments regarding the consent calendar will be taken from public comments. Please use the microphone and state your name, although it's optional. No action will be taken on any item not appearing on the agenda, and the board president will limit your comments to 2 minutes. The president may limit public comment time based on the number of persons who wish to speak. If you wish to speak regarding an item that appears on the agenda, you will be called upon to make your comments at the time when the item is discussed by the board. I'm going to call 3 names out, so we'll keep a speaker and 2 people standing over by the counter at all times, so we can move through this in a fashion that will allow the board to conduct its regular business. Our first speaker is Lydia McLaughlin. She'll be followed by Martha Aguilera, and then Karen Helene.
I'm a little Debbie Downer. I'm here because of love for my daughter and all the girls and boys who are uncomfortable in their bodies. On March 12th, it is Detransitioner Awareness Day. There are now 45,000 detransitioners on Detrans Reddit. Those are the people willing to talk about their journey in and out of gender identity ideology. Teens and young adults who have been harmed by gender surgeries and synthetic cross-sex hormones. There are thousands sharing their stories. This is a desisted female. I was told I'd kill myself if I didn't get on HRT. But ironically, after HRT and a mastectomy, I want to kill myself. And before I didn't want to. I might have thought I wanted to, but that's because all they kept saying is it's a trans child or a dead child. If I had been told that I can't transition and that I'm female and that I will never be remotely the same as a biological male, I'm sure I would have accepted it and with time become more comfortable being female. But they didn't give me that option. I wasn't really questioned. I came out as trans and they immediately affirmed me, as if they were happy to have one less tomboy in the world and rather want masculine girls to transition than tomboys to exist. They have permanently damaged my body, and I'm only 18. Lawsuits are happening here in California. Chloe Cole was put on testosterone at 13, puberty blockers, a double mastectomy at 15, and detrans at 16. She's from the Central Valley. She's now 18 and suing Kaiser. A mom from Chico is suing her school district for her child being secretly transitioned. I have a draft for the school policy that could possibly be implemented in our school district. It was put together by members of an organization named Gen Spect. I'm working with them to bring common sense change to our school district. Gen Spect is an international alliance of professionals for people who can seek high quality care for gender-related distress and for people who have been impacted by gender dysphoria.
Lydia, your 2 minutes is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is Martha Aguilera, and after Karen Helene will be Glenda.
Good evening, my name is Martha. I'm a parent in the district. I'm here because on February 10th, my son had an interaction with a child on the basketball court at his junior high school that this child, thankfully it was caught on camera, pushed him from behind and ended up in injuries that resulted in 2 broken arms. 3 x-rays, 3 weeks in, and about 4.5 weeks to go according to the last x-ray and the last doctor's appointment. He's unable to do everyday functions like, bathe himself and feed himself and write. He's an excellent student, never gets in trouble. You guys all know that. Yeah, the reason I'm actually here today is because I wanted to point something out. So I sent an email out, several emails out, but 3 emails to the entire governing board, the superintendent, the principal, the vice principal. The day before yesterday, I filed a police report, and I have gone through several different hoops trying to resolve this without taking anything any further. Now, the members of the board that responded were Miss Moore. Thank you so much for your response. Mr. Coleman, thank you for your response. And Mr. Messina, thank you for your response. 3 of you, the rest of you, including yourself, Mr. Jensen, who I campaigned for and who I supported, were incapable of even showing some kind of empathy. I know that we don't see eye to eye on all things, but over the last 3 years, I have sat in this room and I have watched you guys try to outweigh my thoughts, my opinions, my beliefs over my own children in the interest of you guys loving kids and the students and wanting what's best for the students, even if it meant disagreeing with their parent. And at least at the very end of the day, I could say that it was because you guys thought that you guys cared enough about the students. During your campaigns, you have no problem answering emails, making the phone calls, giving responses, acting like you actually care, but not the rest of you, not the rest of the 3 of you were capable of even sending a reply as simple as, I'm sorry this happened, let us know if we can help. And you guys should be ashamed for that. I'm not gonna let all of the constituents that voted for you on the pretext that you guys love the students so much know that when it came time to show some empathy and set the differences aside, you guys were incapable of showing empathy to my son. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Karen Helene is next, and after Glenda is Rebecca Hindman.
That's so hard to follow. I want to say good evening, President Jensen, Mr. Coleman, staff, and of course the governing board. I have been attending these board meetings coming up on 3 years. At a time where students were impacted on a loss of connections in education so desperately needed, parents gained connections in education into our state and our district curriculum and decisions for our students. I also believe many of us parents have gained connections more with you, governing board. And I thank you for that. I thank you for the one-on-one and collectively. I'm sorry, I'm emotional from those last 2 people. With all this said, I would ask that each of you would watch what is being introduced in Washington, D.C., a Bill of Rights for all parents in this nation. Today it was announced, a Bill of Rights for parents that are not going to have a criteria of gender, of race, or economic group, but a bill for the parents. Thank you for developing the Parent Communication Council. This is a new beginning for this district, and hopefully your open eyes to the Hart District embracing our own Parents' Bill of Rights that is so needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Glenda, you're up next. Following Rebecca is Diane Zimmerman.
Before I start, I want to say sorry about last time, but I really got sick from a nerve disease. Okay, I think I started off with Miss Moore and her grassroots efforts. In my opinion, this was a union-run not it again, race, okay? The unions, the teachers' unions are the most corrupt political unions there are out there. Not the teachers, the unions, okay? Now, I don't know if the union or the teachers here, the membership, are aware of the fact that when an election is run and the unions are telling you who to vote for, that you, the membership, are paying for that with your dues. Our grassroots efforts, as you know, was for the Saugus High School Band and Color Guard. And what we have done is we have gone out on our own and we have begged everyone to donate for this wonderful group who is going to Washington, D.C. to perform in the Memorial Day Parade, the only school in California, period. Okay? John, last time you made a comment, and not really a comment, but a gesture. This was not intended towards you. This was intended towards the school unions. But the one thing that bothers me is the fact that you said that you told the union members to vote for them. We're in America. We can vote for whoever the heck we want. Don't tell us who to vote for. I'm not telling you who to vote for. So don't tell me who I'm supposed to vote for, okay? And about the banner that stated unions hate Joe, I'm glad that you guys paid for it yourself. Shame on you.
Okay, next is Rebecca, and then after Diane is Tony Maldonado.
My name is, hold on a second, hello. My name is Rebecca Hindman, and I'm a parent from Saugus High School. A child is listening right now. Students are here or logged in. They're watching. We are here tonight to listen to the board talk about one of their strategic plans on access and equity tonight. Going on that theme, I know that right now I'm probably going to step into a land where I'm going to be told I'm bringing a woke agenda. What I bring are facts and reality. Our students' true selves and their needs are not an agenda. They are our now and our future. We have a lack of understanding in this community among the leaders and adults, and children are listening. Every time LGBTQIA+ rhetoric or racist or bias-infused language is spoken from this podium, students are listening. The words used are harmful. These words of hate and division reduces our students' value of self, makes our students feel unsafe, unwelcome, and increases suicidal ideations. Conversely, the harmful words and actions of these adults are being heard at home and are teaching some students that hate is okay. Our students should come to school ready to be kind, patient, supportive, and open to learn, not only from their teachers, but from other students. What is our district doing to work with the struggle of inclusion on our campuses? Since I'm running out of time, I'm going to cut this a little short. I would like us to reflect on the fact that differences is what makes us greater. But when those differences lead to hate, we have a bigger problem. Please don't bring your learned hate from home to school, to the public forum. Public school is supposed to be an opportunity for all to learn and work with one another so that our students can be a contributing member of our global economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Diane Zimmerman, you are next, and after Tony is Virginia Ryan.
It has been proven factually that since the government teachers' unions were formed, the quality of education has declined more each and every year. There is zero doubt that the rise in California's social welfare programs that were supposed to lift people out of poverty have done more and more damage to families, especially African American families, the very group that they claim the programs were supposed to help most. A lot of the folks who approved these programs in California were very well-intentioned, regret how easily they were sucked in hugely by government teachers' unions. Once the unions realized they were in danger of losing money, instead of trying to improve what was literally failing They accelerated these programs that are and have been making people more and more dependent on government-run programs that make it easy for them to just do nothing, to work themselves out of bad situations. There are so many of each and every race, color, or creed that have suffered real poverty, who have found and used the brains they were born with to learn the basic skills needed to succeed in life. Until these unions, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, etc., we were all doing a pretty great job of getting along. Majority of people had to have good reason not to like one person or another. Very few liked or disliked due to race, color, or religion. These are your racist organizations. Wake up before it's too late. Please, as I keep preaching, and will keep on preaching, get your hands on a copy of the book, Standing, and I said against the last meeting, it is Standing Up to Goliath. Standing Up to Goliath by Rebecca Friedrichs, Friedrichs. It's about the teachers' union and the damage they have inflicted on all of the children in government-run schools since their inception. And I know I've told you before that their inception was, in my time, and that says it all. The
Diane,
teachers need to
your-
really look into things.
your 2
Thank you
minutes is
for
up.
letting me speak.
Okay, thank you. All right, Tony Maldonado and then Virginia Ryan.
Good evening. I apologize. I just came in briefly just to, as a basic citizen. I apologize also to the students because they're going to believe that I'm a snitch at this given stage. But it's out of concern that I come to you because I believe there should be an interagency discussion between the district, the city of Santa Clarita, and Metrolink regarding the bus stop right off Soledad Canyon Road. And it's an observation that I made recently. As I've been driving by and sometimes even coming down Golden Valley and even down here, I've noticed that several students at times get off the 5 or 6 bus, Soledad Canyon Road, and actually cross the railroad tracks in order to get to Bowman. That's a serious concern, I believe. If a child gets injured, of course, the district could get sued, or Metrolink, or the city. So maybe an interagency discussion should be had at this given stage to try to create a safer passage for them, because of course, where the bus stop leaves the children, I would say it's probably 100 to 200 feet from the corner, and they don't want to go around that area in order to get here. So there might be a possibility of creating a safe passage along the railroad tracks, just as they do at the train stations. And it's just something of a concern. So as a public citizen, I just thought bring that to your attention. So thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, Virginia Ryan.
Excuse me. Good evening. Today, Speaker McCarthy, as well as a group of Republican lawmakers, reintroduced legislation to create the Parental Bill of Rights, H.R. 5. The number 5 representing the age when a child enters kindergarten and the beginning of their education. A parent's right to know what is being taught in school, parents' right to be heard, parents' right to see the school budgets and how the district spend the taxpayers' money, a parent's right to protect their children's privacy, a parent's right to be updated on any violent activity at school, that parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's education. This bill includes provisions that would require all public school districts to disclose clearly their curriculum materials to parents, mandate parental consent for participation in student surveys, and prohibit schools from selling student information for commercial or financial gain. The education bureaucracy has branded parents with the scarlet letter as if to suggest that these dedicated moms and dads are nothing more than radicals who would be pushed away from their child's education, growth, and personal development. Basic things that every parent should have a right to, that we as parents have to stay in our children's education and not the government. For every parent, grandparent, family member here and across the country who has ever spoken up at a school board meeting, I want to thank you. For when we speak for all children and not just our own. We speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. Parents have a right, parents that have spoken up at school board meetings that have been attacked, called terrorists, whenever all we ever wanted was to be heard. When we all work together, great things can be accomplished. There will always be unforeseen challenges in the future. We need to continue working together and not against each other. And in closing, let the kids be kids and stop subjecting them to adult issues and conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia. All right, we will move on now to our information items. First is our strategic plan update for focus area number 3. Mr. Kuhlman.
Yes, Yes, so this fall, the Hart District Governing Board adopted a strategic plan to guide our work toward continuous improvement across the next 5 years. And the plan consists of 5 areas. Tonight, we are going to hear our progress in the area of access and equity. And I'd like to highlight the fact that it was entirely appropriate that Dr. Hernandez's story helped lead off our discussion of our work in these very important areas. So I will turn it over to Dr. Vieira to hear how we're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. So tonight we're going to be presenting Focus Area 3, Access and Equity, and we'll do it similar to how we did Focus Area 1. I have various members of my team here that'll be helping us out as we go through each goal. So starting off, just to kind of frame the discussion tonight, this revolves around our phrase of every student opportunity ready and builds upon our Focus Area 1, which of course is student learning and instruction. It's really about, again, coming back to setting high standards for all of our students. And again, that's not bringing down standards in the name of equity or access, but it's actually raising the standards and having high standards for all and allowing opportunities for acceleration, and also opening doors and having support. We can't allow access and assume that students are going to do well. We have to have the support there as well. And that comes back to the phrase, every student opportunity ready. It's really so that when students leave our school district, regardless of how they got to us, they are able to do whatever they want to do and take advantage of every opportunity that comes after high school. Area 3.1 of our strategic plan is identify and removing barriers that would anyway limit access and success of our students. And again, the purpose of this is to ensure that all of our students have access to a rigorous course of study, and also we're going to talk a little bit about activities as well on campus. So things that we intend to accomplish are, and we've already begun working on this year, is identifying key high leverage data points. So data that would mean we need to intervene with students, but also looking at success factors and building on that key data as well. So all of our students have access and success. And again, it's providing that initial and ongoing support for our students. So be able to identify the students that need our support, and then having that ongoing monitoring of data to ensure success. Specifically, some of the things that we've been working on, we've done a lot this year with analyzing our data, especially, I'm going to get to it in a minute, but with our administrators and our monthly Admin Academy. We've looked at data such as student demographics in our courses and in our athletics and activities programs, grade distribution, suspension rates, attendance rates, test scores, and we've really been reviewing the trends and looking, and I'm going to get to in a second, a really assets-based approach on that. Also, through Ms. Dacier, who's doing the slides for me here, a lot of professional learning, a lot of professional development for certificated and classified staff. Again, I talked a second ago about some of the things we've done in our Admin Academy. We've gone through all the, we're working through all of our focus areas. We've looked at data, and we've looked at data in a way that we looked at overall data within our district and our schools, but then also we specifically pulled our subgroup data, because a lot of times, and we've worked on an article called Peeling Back the Wallpaper, sometimes the data looks like it is pretty good, but when you go a little bit deeper in there, there are individual students and maybe even groups of students that you have to take a better look at and give more support. Specifically, one example that I wanted to point out with our administrators, as I said, we've walked through a lot of data this year, really discussed equity, and we wanted to really kind of personalize the data, because you can get lost in the numbers and forget that you're looking at students. And so we really wanted to put a face to the data, but also kind of flip it around and have it more of an appreciative model or an assets-based approach. And I think Dr. Moore is going to like this piece of it. What we did was we did kind of like some narrative research with all of our administrators. We had every one of our administrators select a student from a subgroup that's traditionally maybe, or through our data, was not as high performing. But what we did was we had them select a student that had achieved success. And so we then interviewed, each of the administrators interviewed the student and the parent, and tried to ask very specific questions about why they were succeeding and what things helped them, what barriers they had. And then we had a great discussion in our admin academy where we were able to group like administrators based on the students they did. And if we could pull up, I'm just going to show very briefly the interview protocol that we went through in just a minute. While we work on getting that up, it basically had questions such as what are some strategies you use for success? What are things that you did, and the parents, what support they provided at home? What suggestions you could give to students on how to perform better, and what barriers there may have been. With that, and it was such groups as English learners, our special ed, students who were originally did not achieve well, that turned it around. We had a lot of different subgroups. We put our administrators together, and they had some very good discussions about that. Here's the form we used. So we identified, if you could scroll down a little bit, some of the factors we looked at. Were they academically successful based on grades, standardized assessment, positive attendance, and behavior? And then we had specific groups that they could select a student from, whether it was EL, special education, homeless or foster youth, previous non-promotee, or previous discipline issues. And then if you could go to the next page, we had a series of questions that we asked students and parents. And we got some just outstanding data and conversations, not only with the administrators and the students and parents, but with our administrators. And again, we can provide more detailed information. But interesting, some of the things that came up that were consistent were adult support and sponsorship from parents, family, school staff. It was just basically an adult. It could have been a lot of different people. Collaboration with friends was a big one. Connection to school, whether it's in sports or clubs or with friends. They also looked at, we asked about barriers, and they brought up some things such as graphing calculators, having access to that and other materials. Some things that helped them were teachers giving very specific language and terms, and even brought up a specific program achieved. So it really was a very good exercise in trying to build out on some of the success that's happening as we work through this year. And this week in our Admin Academy, all of our school sites will be doing site plans for next year, not just Title I. And we're really trying to tie in these key indicators where we've got to address the students early on and provide the support, but also address some of these success strategies we have and incorporate that into our plans. With that, I'm going to move on quickly to our next area in this focus area. And Mr. Crawford from our Human Resources Department and also oversees our Athletics Department is going to take this one.
Yeah, so 3.2, we're looking at equitable access to athletic, and not just athletic, but all co-curriculars. That includes band, show choirs, drama programs. And we think, and you heard a little bit earlier at the school presentation with Mr. Ferry, I think all of our schools have done a great job of opening those doors, but we do know with the quality of programs we have in our valley at all of our schools, it takes a lot of effort to do those things, a lot of fundraising from our families, our communities, some incredible donation programs that we've put together. But we do know that at times, some of our families from our lower socioeconomic disadvantaged families may see those things as a barrier, even though it shouldn't be. But so the purpose of this is to find out and drill down and find out what is our current reality. And so I'm working with Mr. Wobrock, the assistant principal over at West Ranch, who's great at data crunching. The hard part about this is that data for this specific subgroup is very limited. It's only allowed access to one person on a campus, typically the registrar. So Mr. Wobrock and I are working with the registrars to get that data, and we plan to look at every single program on campus, school to school, both again, athletics and our performing arts, find out how many of our students that are socioeconomically disadvantaged are involved in those programs, and find out if there's a gap, find out Also, looking at what some of the barriers to participation are. The ones that you see here on the presentation, access, resources, transportation, are just some of those ones that can be seen by families. And we want to look at those programs that seem to be doing a great job in getting some of those students involved and how they're doing it. And so that we can spread that word, spread that best practice to all of our programs to make sure that everyone understands that they have access not only to the great education that we have on our campuses, but as you've heard from Saugus Cheer to Castaic video programs to all those things, there's no barrier, there should be no financial barrier to this, and we want to make sure that there is equal access and ability for everyone to take advantage of these programs. We know it costs, a lot and a lot of effort to put on programs, things like band, cost of uniforms, cost of instruments, but we can work on these things and we can make this available to every single one of our students. So our plan is to drill down, find the data for each of our schools, each of our programs, and from there identify those programs doing a great job, share the good news and the good work to those other programs, and get as many involved as we can, because I think we've all seen those studies. Kids that are involved in school do better in school. So that's our goal with 3.2.
Thanks, Mark. Now, Ms. Iram Velik, Director of Student Services, is going to talk about 3.3 targeted outreach.
Good evening. For Area 3.3, we are focused on identifying and removing barriers to allow every student an opportunity to participate in the full range of offerings and opportunities available to students in the Hart District, while maintaining high standards that Dr. Vieira spoke about for all students in the district. We are investing time, energy, and resources to provide every student with support that they need to meet these high expectations. Central to this work is building relationships with our students and their families to meet the two goals identified in this slide. As we strive to continue raising the bar on student achievement, our goal is to continuously, collaboratively partner with our students and their families to ensure the unique needs of each individual student are met by pairing our students with the resources that we have available throughout the district. An example of this is, or one example of the work that we're doing is looking at the partnership between counselors, parents, families, and students in completing the college financial aid application. California Assembly Bill 469 was recently passed. I think it's about a year and a half old now, and it requires all California seniors to complete a free application for federal student aid, also known as the FAFSA. As such, as a district, we are actively working with our counselors at school sites to ensure students and parents understand how to complete this process through personalized workshops, video tutorials, and one-on-one assistance with students who need additional help navigating this process. This example highlights how we are supporting the individual student and the individual needs of a student and their families, especially when we talk about connecting with options related to financial aid to pursue post-secondary education goals. Many of our students who may be the first to learn about the FAFSA process or maybe the first to attend college in their families may be a little bit overwhelmed by this process, and that is where that targeted outreach comes into play. And as we expand our targeted outreach, we want to make sure in this example, every student has that access. We're removing that financial barrier to college through the completion of this FAFSA process. Thank you.
Now, Dr. Carolyn Hoffman will be speaking about expanding college and career preparation.
So in Area 3.4, our whole goal is to ensure that we are providing a robust program of career and college offerings to ensure that all Hart students are opportunity ready for their own unique and personalized journey into their post-secondary endeavors. So to ensure that this takes place, we want to make sure that all our students graduate from the district with academic skills, technical skills, and those professional skills. We want them to graduate with a competitive advantage for in-demand careers. And so to accomplish that, we're working on the following: making sure that we're increasing student enrollment in our A through G, CTE, and early college courses, expanding SITE, student career and college guidance, to help students make really purposeful decisions and aligning that with their future career and educational goals. Also utilizing a lot of local and state labor market indicators to increase our career technical education pathways for students, and then supporting students with individualized decision making in the classes they take, such as encouraging them to complete a pathway, encouraging their enrollment in an early college class. We really want them to make better connections and decisions aligned to their careers. And so this work involves doing a lot of analyzing of student enrollment in the programs that I mentioned. We've really been looking at ensuring accurate data collection and analysis, and we really want to expand our work in this area to make sure that we're truly capturing all student groups represented in the district. So here's one example that I wanted to share with you. This involves making sure that we're aligning the top Santa Clarita Valley industry needs with the enrollment of students in our CTE pathways. And this work is really important because not only do we want our students to graduate opportunity ready, but more specifically, we want to ensure that we are also working to support the local needs of industry partners to help sustain our local economy. So the Santa Clarita Valley Economic Development Corporation, they provide us with annual highlights regarding anticipations in growth in certain areas. So last fall, they shared an annual anticipated job growth of 3.2% through the next several years, and that's in all industry sectors. But the top four are highlighted here. So in arts, media, and entertainment, this is our most popular pathway. We have over 1,500 students across the district in high school enrolled. Health and medical technology, that also has a large number of students. I'm really proud to share that has the largest number of students with disabilities. 27% of students with disabilities are enrolled in that pathway. Manufacturing, construction, and engineering is also popular. Super excited to share we have 38% of the students are female, and the national average for females in this field is only 13%. So this is one of those non-traditional fields. And within this pathway, we offer lots of sub-pathways, one of which is graphic productions. We have 60% of students in graphic productions are Hispanic students. National average would be 33%. So we're really doing well there. And then business and technology, that has one of our second highest numbers of enrollment. And this is really important. The Santa Clarita Valley anticipates an annual 6% growth in the field of technology. Just last quarter, there were over 15,000 new jobs just in our area through Logix and Henry Mayo. So those are some of the things that we're working on.
Now, Ms. Jan Dasher, Director of Special Programs, is going to take the last area, Comprehensive System of Support.
The purpose of Initiative 3.5 is to support students so that they have multiple opportunities to pursue their goals within school and afterwards. This includes graduation as well as all post-secondary opportunities like going on to college, gaining career training, choosing the military, and pursuing any of their personal interests. In order to best support them wherever they're at, we have increased our ability to provide intervention and credit recovery opportunities within the school day as well as after school. We've expanded our summer school programs to address both credit recovery, skills development, and enrichment programs, introducing students early to the career pathways so that they have firsthand experience with what's available to them later in high school. And starting next year, we will begin a brand new pilot program at Golden Valley for seniors who are significantly credit deficient. This opportunity will utilize the APEX curriculum, keep them on the Golden Valley campus, and get them back on track to graduate.
Bowman has always been our solution for severely credit deficient students, but since Bowman has limited enrollment, we found it necessary to expand our thinking about how to keep some seniors on their original campus and still enroll them in a credit recovery program to meet their individual needs. One example to highlight in the area of 3.5 are the 2 supplemental online programs that we've incorporated district-wide in all of our schools this year. Apex for credit recovery at the high schools and IXL in both math and English at all of our schools, focusing primarily on building skills in grades 7 through 10. Each high school has a limited number of APEX licenses. Students take turns going through the APEX curriculum for just the sections of the courses that they need to repeat. Then another student picks up the usage of that license and takes their turn to earn the credit for the previously failed course they need, and they earn that credit back towards graduation. In IXL, as of yesterday, those numbers up there in front of you show that students across the district have practiced 345,655 skills in math and English, earning a proficient level in over two-thirds of those skills and mastering a third of them. This is the most skills practice we've ever seen using the IXL program, both for remediation and enrichment courses, and teachers can get real-time results on where each student is performing at grade level in each of the individual skill areas for that content.
So in closing, just to kind of bring it back together, this focus area is building on area number 1, and there's really a lot of overlap. It goes hand in hand. Again, coming back, we have high standards for all. We really want to open doors and support all of our students and find those high leverage data pieces, whether it's identifying students for support or identifying success strategies that we need to build into plans, and really working on that asset base. And I think Dr. Hernandez was a great example of that today. Just needed some encouragement and some guidance, and really acknowledging the assets that all of our students have. Before we ask for any questions, I also want to acknowledge some other members of the team that are here, Mr. Matt Hinsey, Dave LeBaron, John Carino, and Erica Galicia from our team.
Well, board, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Yes. Please come up. Yes. Go ahead, Rebecca. Yes, you're up. Do you want to make a comment? Please go ahead. My apologies.
Hi, I'm Rebecca again. This was written prior to them actually speaking, so they might have to tweak a little bit. Tonight's presentation is amazing, but I do have some concerns. I know that special ed was discussed and those that need specialized learning. What are we doing to help improve Sequoia? They were moved twice. They came back to their facility lacking what they had before in regards to chairs, tables, just basics. So I'd like to know what we're doing to help that environment, as well as, you talk about the individual, but we are understaffed in regards to special education teachers. And what are we doing to hire more teachers so that we don't have to subcontract out and it would actually save us money and produce fewer lawsuits? Also, what is the district's plan regarding the bilingual program that will be hitting our district in about, I believe, a year from Newhall and Saugus districts? We have students that have spent not just a year or two, but several years working in a bilingual language program, and they're about to hit junior high and not have anything to support that bilingual program so that they can continue their education. And then a quick question. I know that we had a program at Valencia. You guys talked about bringing things like Bowman's. Bowman is an amazing opportunity. I know Valencia is test running a smaller program. It would be great if we could actually maybe have baby Bowmans on every campus so that, we can have those that can handle a more general population environment, but in the same context as a Bowman education, because that is honestly one of the best opportunities we have here in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, board members, do you have any questions for Dr. Vieira or our distinguished panelists here?
Okay.
Linda, anything you'd like to? Okay. Okay. Dr. Moore.
Mr. Messia and I were deciding who was going first. I said he can go first because I
She's
have
got-
a lot.
She's got 3 pages of questions, so I'll go first. You talked about helping them to complete college applications and moving in that direction. Does that include trade school applications like ITT Tech, culinary schools, that kind of thing? Because you know what my pet peeve is on that. You know what my pet peeve is on that for sure.
I do. Yes. So my team just was at a great CTE conference in Sacramento the past 4 or 5 days, and certifications are huge. And that is what we really need to make sure, that we have a certification that every student in a pathway is able to take that certification and have that. So absolutely, part of the career and college readiness for all students is working on completing and practicing job applications, resumes, networking. In fact, I just met today with VIA about the upcoming Connecting to Success program that we'll be having again in September. And so all of those are components of that. And definitely in working with industry, that is something that we really want to connect and find out what is it that the industry needs from our students in terms of completing some of those processes. You know, a long-term dream would be we're going to have a career fair in the fall this year, coupled with Canyon's college fair, but it would be great to be able to have a career type industry related local Santa Clarita Valley opportunity for students to actually meet and greet and be able to maybe interview on the spot and complete applications there.
Yeah, and you were part of the team that met at Castaic a few weeks ago with Vince. We met with some of the heads of EDC, and that was their complaint, is they don't have enough qualified applicants. And I think we need to hold their feet to the fire when it comes to having them offer us internships. Nobody really ever talks about the internship. So if you really do want to keep it local, we really do want to supply our locals instead of always having to bring people up from the valley or somewhere else to work here. I'm more than happy, as you saw, to jump in with the EDC and let's get them engaged financially. Let's get them engaged with internships and giving us what we need to supply what they need.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Dr. Moore.
Thank you.
She's got 3 pages, and I just have a couple of questions. I
Go
deferred
ahead.
to her first. One of the things as a classroom teacher, and it has been 8 years, the barriers to participation in academics is wonderful, and that was my field as academic teacher. But I know, as I can't remember who said it, but if you can get a kid engaged in something else, some band or some extracurricular activity or a sport, we keep them and we get them motivated to go ahead and stay with that and graduate. I saw barriers that were financial, and I know teachers, not just me, but other teachers and other professionals on our campus would help kids by giving them money or finding them a way to get it. I didn't see as much, and maybe in 8 years we've made it better, but I did see kids that wanted to do something and backed away because they didn't have the money to. And we'd always try to work away, but is it much better now? Is it different than it was when I was at Canyon?
I think we've done a really good job on educating our advisors, coaches, and those things about the differences in donations, and we've done away with terms like fees and things like that, and making sure. But the key I think that we're going to look at with the data that we're examining is, because we do not have any barriers for that. We have any student, if they make a team, they're on. They get their uniform, they get whatever they need. But I do think there are some out there that they see, like for band, they know a uniform costs a lot or an instrument costs a lot. Well, we have instruments. We have ability to get you a uniform, and sometimes those students don't know that. So what we're going to try to do with looking at the data, we do know there's some programs out there that are doing a great job of making sure everyone knows that everything's available to them. And so we want to look at those best practices and put them out district-wide so that there's, we don't even want there to be the specter of a barrier when it comes to financial. Obviously we have high-performing teams. Some kids don't make the team because of ability. That's one thing. But we don't want financial to be the reason they don't try out for a play or they don't try out for a team. We don't want that ever to come into effect. So that's our goal with this.
So we've done a better job over the last 8 years.
Much better over the years, yes, but we could always, we always could still look at doing a better job. That's why we want to have the deep dive into the data to see what really is our current reality.
Well, and as our honoree this evening, I had so many students when I'd ask them where they were going to college. We can't afford college. My dad works 3 jobs. You know how many kids that I sent to the counselor, I sat with them at lunch, and it's great to think that this is being given to them more than just by a teacher who has a 15-minute break at lunch by the time everything gets done. So that's great.
And I think that's, I know they were talking about, helping parents and students through the FAFSA, process, which was talked about today. I mean, I think there's some students and families don't realize how much money is out there possibly for them. And if they, we're going to give them help to fill these things out, they may be very happily surprised that their child can get through college and most of it get paid for.
And so many scholarships aren't known about. And you don't have to always be the A+ student. There was a scholarship years ago that you had to be a C student, come from a D, and be a C student. And your dad worked for, I'm going to say General Motors, but I don't remember what it was. And there was money there, and these kids didn't know it. And then I had a student, I'm just going to bother you for a second. I had a student that went out after every single scholarship available, and he didn't pay for a penny to go to school. But he must have gotten, I still remember his name, I won't say it, but he must have had like 13 scholarships and enough money to get through school and not have to work, which is always nice, and not burden the family that wasn't particularly well-to-do.
That ties right into what Vince talked about earlier, the ICANN, being able to take advantage of that, AOC and those programs, and just our COC partnership in general.
And FAFSA form is not easy to fill out, just to tell you that. Now, Dr. Moore.
Go ahead, Dr. Moore.
Okay, I appreciate the reputation for being thoughtful and for asking questions that others want to know and might not ask, and for being able to have us continue to think about opportunities to better support our students as they're going forward. I really, Dr. Vieira, appreciate this report and update. The topic area access and equity, is very important to me. Again, making sure that every student has opportunities to succeed, opportunities, they're ready for whatever comes their way. And I really did love this interview protocol. I have a few questions for you about that. I wanted to know how many students overall have we interviewed?
How many administrators? We have 50? Is that what the 50 to 60?
So I think, yeah, at least 50 to 60 students, but then we had some school sites that they decided to expand that to our leadership teams at the individual school sites. So I would hazard a guess that number is at least 2 to 3 times larger than that. And it's really looking at what has helped our students be successful in replicating those conditions for other students. And our students really have the keys to unlock what helps them get past those access barriers. So it is a continued dialogue that we're having at Admin Academy as part of our work to make sure every student has what they need to be successful.
I appreciate that, and I think it's a wonderful thing that we're doing. I think it's a good project for somebody's dissertation. I think we need to continue to do that because we want to really build on what's working. And we don't know that when we're not asking those questions. So please continue to do that. I would like to see the research. I would like to share it with my job, what we find, because I think it's a great case study, and some of you know what I do. And so I think this is a great case study for us to continue looking at. Mr. Crawford, I
appreciated the update on 3.2, the athletic and co-curricular pieces. One of the things that I've also shared with Dr. Vieira, and I'll share it with you, I absolutely agree that money should never be a barrier for our students being able to participate in our athletics and our art and in any of our extracurricular, co-curricular activities. And I don't know that that is always what happens, but I'm glad we're trying to do more to find out what happens. But the piece that does concern me is students not making a team because they don't have the ability. I'm not a give everybody a participation award person, although I do believe that everyone should have the opportunity to compete. And I've said this several times, we have students who can pay for being in a sport from 3 years old up until high school. And then we have some who they get to high school and they try out and they've never held a baseball or a softball or never put on a glove. They can't compete. I really want us to look at doing something in our junior highs. And I know I have been told it's a money thing, but I continue to say we budget our priorities. We budget the opportunities that we believe matter. If this really is something that we're looking at when we're talking about what the current reality is, what the gap is, we have to do that.
And I'll just interrupt you real quick to let you know, I know you and I have talked a little bit about on the junior high thing. I am going to be working with our junior high principals to look at least the beginnings of some ideas for the junior high, maybe starting with things, some of the sports that don't take as much, like basketball, because all of our junior highs have a gym already. And so some of those things, so identifying some of those sports, a couple of them, one, each boys and girls, and so that we can maybe start on that project. As you know, we do have the cross-country meet in the fall for all junior highs and the track meet in the spring, but then we're looking at maybe adding something like basketball and volleyball down the line.
Thank you. I will be your biggest cheerleader, helper to find ways that we can do that, because I get
You want to be
calls.
an official?
My husband can be. He's done that. He's done that. And then I wanted to find out, when we talk about looking at the data to look at what the gaps are, how are we defining the gap?
I think the biggest one we want to look at is the socioeconomic one, as you mentioned, with financial. It's easy for us to identify our foster youth and homeless because they're already tagged. Unfortunately, because of how the rules are with the socioeconomics, those are not. And so that's what it's taking us a little longer to find those gaps. And we just want to make sure that, again, find those areas that if a school has 35% socioeconomically disadvantaged, we want to see that around same percent being involved at least in those programs. So those are the gaps that when I talk about gaps, that's what we're looking for.
Okay. That helps me because I wasn't sure how we were defining it. So thank you for that. Aram, I am loving the FAFSA for all. And part of 3.3 was looking at advanced coursework. Same question, how are we defining the gap there when we look at advanced coursework? Yeah, so very similar to what Mr. Crawford said, we're really leveraging data, and it's those high leverage data points, right? So we're looking at the demographic makeup of a school, and based on the percentages of our subgroups, we should see similar subgroups reflected in all of our programs, co-curricular, extracurricular, academic. We also want to provide bridges to students, so if they, for whatever reason, have access to or at some point fell behind, provide intervention opportunities for students to get the skills to pursue advanced coursework. So, we're just starting this work. We've got a lot of really motivated staff members. It's starting with the leadership at the district level, funneling down to our principals, and then we've got our amazing teachers, our counselors, our social workers, building around this strategic plan and this initiative of access and equity, right? Access gets them into the door, equity levels the playing field, and then that's how we move that ball forward. So that's the focus. Thank you. I am looking forward to what we find. I know we're still looking at the data. One of the things that sometimes happens as an unintended consequence when you find the gap and you try and close the gap, there are negative impacts on others that were unintended. So I just want us to always think about that as we are looking for how do we balance equity and access with students who are already in the class, and what does that mean for those students? And those are hard conversations and often aren't spoken about, and then you have the flip side with these unintended consequences that happen. So just something to have us thinking about. Dr. Hoffman, thank you very much too for what you're doing, of course, with CTE and our college career and college plans. Back in the day, when my oldest daughter was in high school, we had career centers at our high schools. And one of the pieces under your area was to increase career access, and it felt like there was an opening for something that really benefited students back in the day that we no longer have. And so I just wanted to know if that was an opening.
I know Mr. Messina is sitting next to you smiling away, because that's definitely something he and I have spoken about a lot, because definitely we need to make sure that we're looking at transportation again for students. So even though we have our extended day and we're expanding that as well as having our daytime programs, we do need to really make sure that there are opportunities for students across the district. One area that is really growing is in the area of the health and medical technologies. Just about every high school now will have the body systems and disorders, which is the concentrator class. They'll have that on their daytime campus next year. Mr. Fisher and Mr. Ferry have talked to me already about expanding that. Golden Valley did this year, Hart did as well. So some of those are great to be able to have across the board, but then there's some where we look at welding, for example, or some of the very expensive programs. That's where having a centralized career center definitely helps.
I hope we do get to work on getting the career centers. Work on that. Okay, and then my last question, wait, two more questions, sorry. Can you explain to folks who don't know, your slide talked about completers. Can you explain what completers are?
Absolutely. So a completer in the state of California needs to take 2 full years of CTE courses that are aligned in a certain pathway. So we offer right now 27 pathways in the Hart District. I'm excited to say we have 2 more on the horizon. One will be at Canyon, Valencia, and AOC, and that's going to be part of Human Services next year that falls under the education industry. And then Golden Valley is going to be adding a product innovation and design class and pathway. So a pathway is a concentrator, which is the first class, followed by a capstone, which is the second class. And so a student has to take both of those in order, so sequence really matters. They have to earn a C- or better every single semester. It comes out to about 300 hours they've completed in learning a lot of the technical skills and the content there. And then on top of that, it has to be taught by a fully credentialed CTE teacher who has work experience in that industry. And I'm really proud of our teachers who work so hard to work with us to get their CTE credential, and LACO, and all of our pathways are supported by fully credentialed teachers.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And I know that our percent of completers enrolled are different, but I want to make sure that what we have here, some might look at that and see a big gap.
Thank you.
That is in alignment with what it takes to complete, because of the 2 full years, that maybe our numbers actually might be higher than some other neighboring districts?
So thank you for mentioning that, because when you look at the data, you might notice that there are smaller numbers of completers. Lots of different factors there. One, the state changed the requirements in about 2018, 2019, where the sequence in a pathway has to be the same district-wide. So last year, all of our amazing teachers worked together, and so we have a sequence of 2 courses at a minimum, some have 3 or 4, across the district. We did a full retitling project, so all of our courses are labeled CTE. Let's say it's Principles of Engineering 1, A and B, and so then there would be the next course. We have been educating our counselors, our principals, our administrators, our families, so that it's really clear that you need to take courses in that sequence. So that is going to increase our numbers. I have been told historically during COVID that many of the second courses, the capstone, they really weren't offered during COVID because it's so hands-on, so there was a little bit of a dip there. We also made sure now that every pathway, there's a CTE credentialed teacher. So in the past, we might have had our concentrator taught by a CTE teacher, but the capstone wasn't. And so we have worked on all of that. So we're excited just to watch those completer numbers growing and growing. We're also having all of our CTE teachers really work with their students. The students take the classes because they love their teachers, and their teachers just bring amazing opportunities for them. And so they are really the best marketers. So they're developing elevator pitches. They're also reminding their students the value of being able to complete a pathway and how great that looks now when you're applying to college.
Okay, almost. For this research that we're doing with the interviews, it made me think about our students who have graduated and what they might see as what has worked for them. So my question for you, Dr. Hoffman, Dr. Vieira, is are we looking at our current post-grads, yes, post-grads, for guidance? And how do
Yes,
they
we
feel
are.
in terms of being prepared?
So part of the requirement in California is we end up getting a report of all the students that were completers, and that takes place.
Not just completers, I mean the bigger.
No, I think
question,
that's a great
please.
point. We have not, as a general population, done that, but I think it's a great point to do that. Yep, kind of the same format would be great.
It is to have this bigger question.
Good
And,
idea.
and last question is related to Bowman and the Golden Valley program. Same thing, just kind of thinking about unintended consequences. I heard Ms. Heineman talk about baby Bowmans all around the district and what that might look like for the actual Bowman if we do that. So I want us to have that in the back of our mind. I know they only have so much capacity and we have to do what we have to do to serve these kids. And I don't want it to hurt our model school with creating baby Bowmans.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I'll tell you, we have been having conversations with Nina Zamora. She's been involved in it. And Sal Frias and I have visited another districts that's done it for 15 years. So, but no, it's a great point. We definitely want to have it so it helps the students that are on site, but doesn't take away.
Thank you.
Mr. Webb, did you have a comment?
No, no questions at this time.
Okay. Danny, did you have a quick comment you wanted to make? Okay. Fire away.
Okay, thank you. So this is a bit broader, and I may word it wrong, but I come from Golden Valley, which is a Title I school, and one of the biggest helpful things that have been attached to academic success for all AP students has been Title I funds or extra funding going towards students who may struggle, have a lower socioeconomic status, and are unable to pay for the tests at the end of the year. Coming from Golden Valley, it's something that has really helped increase the amount of participation we get within amount of participation and success that we have in our advanced placement sections, but I was wondering what support there is for students who aren't a part, or schools that aren't a part of Title I. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree, it's a great question. So we adopted that into the LCAP to solve that problem last year. We have 7 Title I schools, but 4 of those are high school. And since they had that advantage to be able to help students, yet we recognize there are low-income students district-wide, the LCAP has those supplemental funds that when we do the LCAP report in June, you'll see that we adopted all of them across the entire district. So we're actually saving the Title I funds for Golden Valley this year. Even if they had originally written it in the plan, we took it out and said, you may use that money for something else and additional supports and intervention so that district-wide the LCAP can support all students. We have record numbers of students taking AP tests from low-income families this year. We have a gradient scale as far as whether they're homeless, whether they absolutely can afford nothing, or if they can afford a little bit, and it's just skyrocketed. But we've been able to, I don't know how many yet, but come LCAP time in June, I'll have actual numbers for you on how many we've been able to help.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Good question. Thank you.
And then I had one more comment, sorry. And this was just about what Dr. Moore was talking about maybe implementing or expanding opportunities for those who aren't a part of a sport from a young age. And speaking from personal experience, I was a cheerleader. My freshman year, I was cheer captain, and I did not learn anything about football until a week before my first game. I now know enough to call it cheers, but the point being is when I was in junior high and I was taking PE, we spent a lot of time learning about some sports such as tennis, and we also did tinikling or other dances. Yes, but I was wondering if there was a way that we could embed some other informational pieces and like hands-on teaching with more prominent sports that could help prepare them for high school. I don't know what the regulations are or if there's anything for like the California Education Code, but something along those lines, like teaching basketball or teaching football in PE classes.
I think any of us would give the same answer that Mr. LeBaron, right there, our director of curriculum, would say, that there are definitely state standards for the junior high PE curriculum that they must follow. And then there is some time when they can put in some of their favorite units, like the dance unit at the junior high. 6 different styles of dance or 16 different styles, I know, and kids come back later and say how much they love it, but it's actually part of the standards. There are some standards we have to find ways, because there's even water safety in there, and we don't have swimming pools for them. So I would say Mr. LeBaron, definitely, who works with our PE department chairs, can talk to them about where they're able to embed some more hands-on engaging activities around making sure that they do meet the state standards for all students in grades 7 and 8 that they have to.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Great presentation, you guys, everybody. Great job, wonderful information. Wish we could talk more about it, but we've got to move on in our meeting. So thank you all for coming, and we'll look forward to talking about it another time. All right, our next item is our advisory committee. Mr. Kuhlman.
Yes, on December 7th at our governing board meeting, we introduced the idea of the Hart District convening an advisory panel to talk about ways that we could honor law enforcement, first responders, in the military. On February 2nd, we convened that advisory panel. We had some great conversations with a wide variety of people in the community. On February 13th, we brought those recommendations back to our Student Communications Council to hear what their opinions and thoughts were. And then today, I am bringing to you, while there are countless ways that we across the district can support and honor law enforcement, first responders, in the military, I want to share with you 3 things that we are committed to doing starting this next year. The first is that all high schools are committed to adding an honor wall similar to that which it currently exists at Hart High School, West Ranch High School, and Saugus High School. So they would have that completed by the end of this next year. So we've spoken with all high schools, and all are on board, and so we are beginning the process of finding how we will fund that, who would be involved, including students, and looking for ways that we could then make a big event out of unveiling those honor walls. So that'll be something that you will see rolling out across the district this next year. The second is that we talked about ASB's designating first responder nights with some of our athletic and extracurricular events, whereby schools specifically seek ways to celebrate and honor these groups. And this might include through free admission, certain members being honored at the coin toss, halftime, honor ceremonies, etc. And I have asked our principals to begin working with ASB directors and students on creative ways to have those be implemented starting this next year. And the third way is that we agreed that it would be healthy and helpful to work to feature our SROs, our campus resource officers, more regularly in our morning announcements in an effort to humanize our law enforcement colleagues and to present them in a positive light to students. And I believe many of our schools are already doing this, but we want to make sure that that is a regular part of what we do so that law enforcement officers are not simply perceived as those who are enforcing the law, but they are actually resources and helpful members of our community and people that we need to hold in high regard. So I wanted to bring that information back to the governing board and let you know that we have lots to look forward to starting next year. And again, this is just a start, but these are commitments that we are making for the Hart District.
I've got a question for you. Is when you talk like a first responder night or what have you, is that like Dodger night where they have a certain night?
Yeah, I think that's the general concept, but we want that could go in a variety of different ways, and we want to unleash the creativities of the individual ASBs to figure out how that might look at a particular school site. But that's a great example. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't expect an answer tonight, but I mean, we need to, as Mr. Webb expanded on once before, is if they wanted to do a first responder night at a game, is that going to be an issue or a problem? I think we need to think about that. And I know that you're talking about doing it at the schools, at special events and stuff, but if an ASB, if they want to do it out at an event, how would that look? And I'm not looking for an answer right now.
Okay.
It's just something we need to think about.
Sure, yeah.
What I will say too about first responders nights, a huge thing that we talked about at the committee because I was there was some sort of like, not necessarily a financial incentive, but even allowing them to get in for free as a way to show that we want them there and we want them to be a part of our community. I also understood that, which again should be left up to the ASBs, but organizing an event that's more broader, such as like focusing on first responders as a whole rather than the specific types of first responders, which could help alleviate a lot of the potential tension.
Okay.
I love potential tension, but that's
Thank you,
beside
Mr.
the point.
Coleman, for that
Mr.
update.
Jensen.
Are we?
Just quick question. This is an easy one. I heard having the honor walls, I love that, at all of the campuses by the end of the year. Is that in the fiscal year or December?
End of next school year, so we
So
have the entire
June
year
of
for that.
2024.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on with our action items here. We're going to move item E up to the front because it relates to Debbie Dunn, and she has to leave for a conference here very shortly. So, Mr. Kuhlman, do you have that one to present?
Yeah, and I'm going to turn this directly over to Debbie, who has been helping implement. We are looking at a replacement for our Blackboard Connect mass communication system that has greater aspects to it that can help enhance our communication. And I'm going to turn that over to Debbie for the presentation.
Hi, everyone. So our strategic plan calls for us to increase and enhance our communication efforts. So if we ask, how can we communicate with families more effectively? We've been working on that throughout the year. So we are working on timely communication in emergencies, getting alerts up on websites. We have updated the website. We are putting information out on social media on a constant basis, so we're actively looking for ways to engage with families more effectively. Currently, we use Blackboard as our mass communication system, and Blackboard allows us one-way communication via emails mainly. We can send phone calls in case of emergency, but we use it for emails, and it has the ability to translate messages into Spanish. So looking at other options, Parent Square offers a more engaging communication platform. It offers families choices in how to receive their communications, whether they want to receive messages through downloading the app on their phone, through emails, through text messages. They get to go in and choose their method that they receive communications. They also get to choose, they get to go in and designate what language they want to receive their communications in. And Parent Square offers a wide variety of languages. And the other big difference with the Parent Square that we're looking at is the ability to have two-way communication. In particular, if a teacher messages a parent, the teacher writes the message in English, it translates to Spanish, the parent responds in Spanish, it translates back to English for the teacher. So if I can show you a quick 2-minute video on Parent Square. Let's get this going.
Parents are busy, and they're getting school information from everywhere. Teacher apps, school texts, email newsletters, district calls, backpack flyers. Too many methods, too many places to look. Schools don't know if they're getting through all this clutter and noise. Who is saying what? If family contact information is current, and who's not being reached? Wouldn't it be better if everything was in one place? So you and your families could be sure nothing and no one is missed? It's time to get organized, to get unified. Welcome to Parent Square. Parent Square unifies family communications from the district office to the classroom, all in a single platform. From district-wide alerts to individual parent-teacher messages, Parent Square's communications tools are built to work together, not piece together. Staff have to learn only one system. Parents find everything in one account. It's more than messages. It's also school services that rely on two-way communications, like filling out forms, scheduling conferences, excusing absences, and responding to progress reports. All fully integrated so parents can reply by web or app and miss nothing. Administrators also miss nothing. Usage and participation reports let them know who's not being reached and help improve communications equity. And they can trust contacts and messages will stay private and secure. Schools also increase engagement and family connections with Parent Square's unique ability to verify and flag updates to contact details. Parents can pick preferred ways of being reached and use any of their phone numbers or email addresses to log in. That gives parents control and schools confidence important messages make it through. With Parent Square, schools get a unified communications platform that saves time. They stay in touch with families easily and consistently. Parents have just one login account to find information and communicate with schools and teachers. They're more satisfied and involved. Parent Square, all of your family interactions in one place.
So just a couple more points. All 4 of our feeder elementary districts currently use Parent Square. So we have many current parents who are familiar with the program. And in addition, we have sought feedback from a variety of our educational partners. We have discussed it at PCC with parents. We've discussed it at Certificated Communication Council with teachers. We've talked with other school districts to get their take. And we've gotten very positive recommendations on the program. So if it's approved tonight, we will immediately begin working on our training and transition plan with the goal of going live before the fall of '23.
Questions and comments?
Yeah, is this an app that they can pull down on their phone, Android,
Yes.
whatever? They don't have to go, okay.
You can download an app and you can have accounts. It will know, this is an interesting piece. If you have a student at Saugus Elementary School and a student at Arroyo Seco Junior High and a student at Saugus, they will all be combined in the one app.
Okay.
But if you don't want to download an app, you can choose to receive your messages through email or text.
Any other questions?
I'm a user of Parent Square. And when it works really well. When it doesn't work, it's probably OE, operator error. Like right now, I'm trying to log in to show Joe what it could look like, and I forgot my password. So, but when it works really well. It snowed today, as we know, and my son's teacher immediately sent us a video of the kids going outside in the snow through Parent Square that I haven't seen yet because I forgot my password. But it's that quick, that immediate. So I like it, and I think it'll be something that, because the elementary schools use it, it will make it easy for parents to continue that same tool for communication. So I would like to.
Can you get your password?
I'm trying to reset it, but what it's
You can
told
reset
me.
it online, right? Or no?
That a
we
motion,
did
Dr. Moore?
I will move this, that
Okay.
we move forward with Parent Square.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Dr. Moore, second by Mrs. Storley to approve the agreement with Parent Square. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
No, I was voting aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Student board member?
Aye.
And the chair says aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Debbie, and have a safe trip. Okay, we're going to move on to item A, the master agreement. Dr. Vieira.
Yeah, thank you. The Career and College Readiness Department was again awarded a California Strong Workforce K through 12 grant to promote access for all district students to college and career readiness opportunities. Grant objectives include enhanced pathways with industry standard equipment and curriculum, and supporting students through utilization of college and career exploration tools and resources, as well as field trips and hands-on experiences. It's recommended that the board approve the K-12 Strong Workforce Agreement for $2 million in Round 5 funds for the time frame of January 2023 to June 2025.
Questions?
K-12 Strong Workforce Round 5 Grant Funds.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Moore, second by Mrs. Storley to approve the K-12 Strong Force Agreement to receive Round 5 funds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Student board member? Aye. And the chair says aye. Okay, Dr. Nielsen, site-based decision, Canyon High.
Yes, our next two items are site-based decisions. First one is Canyon High School. They held a site-based decision vote from February 8th through the 10th, asking staff to decide upon keeping their current schedule or moving to a block schedule with an embedded late start Friday. 85.57% of staff voted for the block schedule, and staff recommends approval of this site-based decision.
Moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Storley, second by Dr. Moore to approve the site-based decision for Canyon High School 2023-2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Student board member? Aye. And the chair says aye. Okay, Dr. Nielsen, Golden Valley High School.
Yes, thank you. Golden Valley High School held a site-based decision vote from February 6th through the 9th, asking staff to vote on a new schedule that included collaboration time for staff. 96% of staff voted in favor of the Bell schedule you see attached to the agenda tonight. Staff recommends approval of this site-based decision.
Moved.
What percentage was that, 96?
96%.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Storley, second by Dr. Moore to approve the site-based decision for Golden Valley High School 2023-24. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Student board member, and the chair says aye. Okay, we're moving down to item D. Let's see. Dr. Nielsen,
Yep,
resolution 22/23-33.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Due to lack of work and/or funding and the expiration of a specially funded program, the district is forced to eliminate 8.28 full-time equivalent employees in the classified service. In order to eliminate the position held by a permanent employee, the district is required by Education Codes 45114, 45117, 45298, and 45308 to initiate a layoff reduction in force. The layoff reduction in force requires a notification of displacement and reemployment rights to the affected employees. Approval of Resolution 22/23-33 authorizes the layoff reduction in force of 8.28 full-time employees in classified service effective July 1st, 2023. Staff recommends the adoption of resolution number 22/23-33.
I have a question.
Go
Yes.
ahead.
We're understaffed, and yet we're going to get rid of positions. Is that because we can't fill the positions?
No, so 3.28 FTE of the 8.28 are bus assistants, which is a partial position. We lay those off each year because those bus assignments change, the bus needs change, the routes change, and so we need to evaluate that on a year-by-year basis. So those, when we have the new schedule for next year, those positions will again be awarded to instructional assistants and other people. I think it's mainly instructional assistants in the classified service. The other 5, we have 2 positions that the work has been reorganized, and so those positions are no longer needed, so we're laying those 2 positions off, and then the other 3 are the result of specifically funded funding sources running out, expiring this year.
Thank you. That clarifies it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have, I guess, a related question. I understand those positions we no longer need in those positions, but as Ms. Sterling said, we still have other open positions. So was there the opportunity to fill vacant positions offered first before the layoffs, or?
I worked with John Anthony Meraki to determine bumping rights to certain positions, and that has been
The
been
bumping
worked
has
out.
happened. Okay. And then the reason we have to do it now is because of legislation that moved up the March 5th, or created a March 15th date for
That's correct.
classified staff, because otherwise we could do like 60 days
60 days.
layoff
That's correct.
notice. So again, maybe that was intended, but the idea of that legislation was to protect jobs, and I think it's an unintended consequence that it is not. Okay, so all the bumping has happened, and we will hire back the bus assistants.
Correct.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Clarifies something that Dr. Moore just said. So we're going to rehire the bus assistants, but then I may have misunderstood, but we're going to use some
The bus assistant hours are tacked onto the instructional assistant's day. So instructional assistants are working 5.5 hours, 6 hours. They can be given bus assistant hours up to 7.5 hours to assist with that.
busing may stop, not busing, sorry. Those positions may stop for a little while, but the people that are working them are still instructional assistants.
That is absolutely correct. Yep.
Bill, did you say you were seconding that, or?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay. Motion by Mrs. Storley, second by Mr. Messina to approve resolution number 22/23-33. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Student board member?
with regrets.
Chair says aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, John Carino, we have the last 2. John, the first is the bid number RFP 2301A.
Good evening. These 2 items are actually directly related, so with your permission, I'd like to discuss both of them, and then you guys can consider them separately. So the first item is award of bid to Charter Communications. So Charter has been providing wide area network and internet services to the district since 2012. So these are our connections between the schools and the district office, and the district office and the internet. So our current contract expires June 30th of this year. So in December, we went out to bid again. January, we got proposals, ranked those, and Charter once again came out as the lowest cost responsive bidder. So we are recommending to award that bid to them. So the second item really focuses around that every year our need for reliable and consistent internet access just increases for the daily operations of the district as well as classroom instruction. So historically, the district has relied on a single internet connection for the entire district. So when that connection would go down, the entire district would be without internet access. And historically, the biggest barrier to looking at a second connection for redundancy was cost. But because the impending approval of the charter communication renewal saves us so much money, it allows us the opportunity to look at that this year. So in anticipation of that, in December, we released a Form 470 through E-rate to request proposals for just a secondary internet connection. So we got those proposals back in January, went through those and rated those, and Los Angeles County Office of Education came out as the highest ranked bidder in that evaluation. So between the two agreements, we would still be saving roughly $108,000 or $9,000 per year from our previous contract with Charter Communications. Therefore, we would like to take this opportunity to use some of those savings from Charter to get a second internet connection to help the redundancy and resiliency of our network. So if you have any questions, happy to answer.
Yes.
Yep.
So charter, unless I'm totally missed this, will be the primary and the county will be the secondary, or?
Correct.
Okay.
And we're saving money with the bid we got from Charter this time. So it allows us to strengthen our infrastructure with the internet.
Right, and still
For
save
saving
a
money as long
significant
as
amount of
it's
money every year.
you know, what we're doing, so.
So we get more for less.
Correct.
Yeah, I
Okay.
could do that.
So I'll move to award bid number RFP 2301A to Charter Communications Operating LLC for fiber-based wide area network and dedicated internet services through June 30th, 2026.
Second?
Motion by Dr. Moore, second by Mrs. Storley to approve the award of bid number RFP 2301A. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Student board member? Aye. And the chair says aye. Thank you. And then we
I'll
have,
move the second one, bid FCC Form 470, application number 23004011. Our secondary internet services will be Los Angeles County Office of Education.
Second.
by Mrs. Storley, second by Dr. Moore, to approve the award of bid FCC Form 470, et cetera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Student board member? Aye. Chair says aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. Unless a board member has a question concerning a particular item and asks that it be withdrawn from the consent calendar, the governing board approves all the items at one time. Board members, any items to be pulled or discussed separately or removed?
I move we approve the consent calendar.
Second?
By Mr. Messina, second by Mrs. Storley, to approve the consent calendar. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Student board member? Aye. Chair says aye. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, now we have items for future consideration by the board.
I have two. First, I want to make sure that we're looking at substitute preparation, where our substitute teachers, I think, need to be trained. Mr. Coleman and I have talked about this. I want to make sure that not only safety, but also given a little time and maybe a day's worth of instruction for substitute teacher prep so they know what they're doing once they walk into the classroom. And since Mr. Minkus is still here, my second thing would be, I don't know a way to word this, so I'm just going to put it out there. Like we train teachers in personal development on things like child abuse, maybe we could have some sort of training for teachers to be alert to when their students, they may be a math teacher or a history teacher, being alert, some cues that they might learn on barriers that their students are having, that they might hear them talking to somebody else. I'd like to be on the football team, but I can't afford the, maybe we could have some sort of training for teachers. Most of us pick it up, but not, some people need to have things pointed out. So I'm thinking that maybe we could look into that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Can I take the opportunity real quick just to address one of those, because I think it would be helpful just to make sure. Can you speak a little bit to the training for our substitute teachers that we have in the works?
Yeah, we have some live in-person training taking place next week, and in preparation for that, we've also taken our entire sub list and emailed them safety protocols, especially lockdown procedures to read and study before we have our in-person session next week. And we'll have another one in May, and we'll have 2 each semester from this point forward.
Super. Thank you so much for that.
Very
I
welcome.
really appreciate that.
Other items for future consideration, Dr. Moore?
I have a couple. The first one, I too am interested in our bilingual education program that was mentioned tonight. So I'd love to hear about our plans for how we're going to do that and at what schools we're going to offer the bilingual education program. The other item that I like to know about with Canyon today moving to a block schedule, West Ranch, Castaic, I'm just wanting us to look at what we're learning from that so that our schools who are not yet on a block schedule, so that we have some data to share about what works for students and staff on block scheduling and what doesn't.
Absolutely. May I share one thing that's neat about that? That I wanted to give some props to Mr. Welch, Colin Welch at La Mesa. They are exploring the idea of moving to the block, and there's likely to be a vote on that this year. And one of the ways that he's done it, which I thought is a great way of doing it, is he invited his staff to go visit with other school sites and let practitioner speak to practitioner. So it didn't seem like something was being foisted upon teachers. And so they recently actually took that trip. They came back, and at least the feedback I received from Mr. Welch was that there's a lot of great dialogue, and that people came away feeling optimistic about that. And so I think that gets to what you're saying.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Good.
Mr. Coleman, also if I could add on the dual immersion program, that's both in Newhall and Saugus. We've actually had a site visit this year to the site in Newhall School District, and we're planning one with the Saugus School District as well. They're in 5th grade, so we've got another year. We've got a plan for the school sites where they're going to try to get our teachers ahead of time that are bilingual, and we're trying to collaborate with them. So, but we can give you an update, but that's something that we've thought a little bit about.
Exciting.
Very exciting, and I remember Mr. Bill, I can't remember. Dinsenbacher. Always wanting us to continue to look at foreign language and the importance that it is for our students to have those opportunities. So I'm very excited about that. The last thing I just want to know if you can give us a Friday memo, not this Friday, but next, well, it won't be a Friday memo, before the board meeting about how the job fair goes and how many new teachers we get and new staff members that we get.
That's a fair request.
I've got one.
Joe?
It's an easy one. We've had Dr. Akash coming forward on a regular basis talking about TikTok. You see the bipartisan push in Congress now to maybe limit or stop the use of TikTok in government buildings. We've got a couple of schools right now that don't allow the use of cell phones during the day, I believe, right? 2, I think. I'd like to maybe have the principals give us an overview, a summary of how successful that is, and maybe the board should consider putting guidelines together as a district-wide type of policy.
I think that's a great idea. And can I ask, can you
That's
share
why I
a
said
little bit of
district guidelines, you know?
Well, one of the things we thought to begin this conversation, I think that there has been a conversation about bringing that individual that came earlier to talk a little bit about the dangers of.
I
Right.
just gave Kathy his updated book. I talked to him the other day. He's very excited. He's got a lot of new data on physical brain changes from the smartphones and the true disconnect. So
There's a lot of traction on it, and I think what we feel is that a great way to do that is, because the way this started last time was when we shared information with families then could actually wrestle with it and ask questions, and then it was sort of a groundswelling from the bottom up. And we thought that's a really powerful way, because people have questions about, you know, is it going to be unsafe for my child not to have this? And so I think that beginning that dialogue, which is a really great way to kind of get that, I think, the game started there. So
he and Carrie Quashen consistently talk about the update, what is it called, psychosis, when they pull these phones away from the kids, or maybe the child's done something wrong and they say, well, you can't have your phone for 24 hours, and they pull it away, and it's a real problem. And I think they need to see it, and I think they need to hear about it, and we should be driving that. So thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Webb?
Nothing from me.
Okay. All right, well, it's 9:52. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Storley,
Second, so we keep going.
Mr. Messina did the second.
second by Mr.
Yeah,
Messina. All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Board member?
Aye.
Chair says aye. We are adjourned. Nice meeting. Thank you all.
Nice meeting.